weekend. In fact, Paul Morris, Steve Ellery, who we just spoke about a few moments ago, were also very quick. But the fella that really shot up, and he referred to this in the interview, relative to his dry pace, was Russell Ingall. So if we do have a varied race like we've had in the past, in terms of weather and track condition, then that'll be one to look out for. One of the things that's tricky about this racetrack, and you see a great example of it there, is it's something of a patchwork quilt. The track has quite a lengthy history, as you detailed at the outset of the show, and different parts of the racetrack have different surfaces and therefore different grip levels.
You may have noticed the stats of the race. There are compulsory stops for brake pads, fuel and tyres. We'll tell you about that during the race. The revs rise, the cars roar. This is the Better Electrical Sandown 500, and Jamie Whincup, starting from position 2, gets a beautiful start. Tander, the pole man, was left sitting there. They have swamped him. Here they come, and Max Wilson up the outside. That is a sensational start. Whincup leads the field though. Tander has dropped to 4th. Courtney gets hung out wide on the exit of turn 1, but it's Whincup, Wilson and Winterbottom.
Tremendous start there from Max Wilson in the WPS Ford to slot in behind the fast-starting Jamie Whincup. Tardy start for Garth Tander, and looks like there could be some trouble in the front right corner of the Jim Richards HRT 22 entry.
Smoke billowing. That is a rubbing guard by the looks of it on the front right tyre. Cameron McLean is seeing nothing but smoke at the moment. Following Jim Richards up towards the very fast turn 6. That is not the start that Jim Richards and Ryan Briscoe wanted.
Matt Crawford already on the radio suggesting they're going to have to stop car number 22 and actually deal with that. You do not want to pop a tyre here at high speed at the back straight.
That is a nightmare start. Sometimes they can rectify themselves, but that looks like it's rubbing too severely, and Richards is in. Well,
who is the car controller here at the Holden Racing team. He'll be at the front of car 22 when it comes to a stop here. I haven't been able to get a word with Matthew Crawford, the engineer on this car, just yet as to what's caused it, but there is contact and damage on that right front guard, so there's obviously been a touch with somebody on that opening lap.
So they're using the slide hammer there just to drag the guard back, replacing the front right, so it'll be Stone Bubbles and send him on his way.
And here is the race leader, and he has gapped the field already. Whincup is doing exactly what his teammate Craig Lowndes did 12 months ago. And now look at this logjam here. Tander's all fired up because he made an error on the start. He'll want to make up ground for that. We go on board with Garth now. He's chasing Winterbottom and Wilson.
Standing lap time for Jamie was a 1 minute 19 even. He had a 0.9 of a second margin at the end of the first lap. Let's see what his first flying lap delivers. What it does deliver is a massive margin, 1.6 seconds and a 12.7. 1 minute 12.7 is his first flying lap time. Max Wilson, Mark Winterbottom, Garth Tander, Jason Bargwanna, those WPS Fords in 2nd and 5th. James Courtney, Stephen Johnson, Steve Owen, Todd Kelly, Dean Canto.
Oh, Tander thought about it on Winterbottom. Heading down into turn 2 and then thought twice. This complex of turns 2, 3 and 4, they are tricky. You're on board with Tander, and Winterbottom is finding it difficult getting past the WPS Ford of Max Wilson.
A little visual variation for this race too, Lee. Normally we're accustomed to seeing these green lights. Watch for Tander. I'll come back to that comment. Does he get up the inside? Awkward spot. Turn 6. Very high speed approach, coming in there at 260 kilometres an hour. The green light, I wanted to say, that you can see visible through the screen when we're looking at the front of the cars, is to indicate that the nominated co-driver is driving the car this weekend. And there's a published list of who those drivers are, and we'll keep you informed with that through the race. It's not for the normal compulsory pit stop situation as we have in the other sprint races.
This is with Wilson. And if there is anything that will make Mark Larkham, team principal, feel better up there in Queensland, it is the sight of his car sitting 2nd. Winterbottom on the inside at turn 1. He's defending from Tander whilst trying to attack Wilson.
Leader starting temperatures according to unlocked. 21 degrees ambient, 26 on track already. The positive reinforcement is coming through from the engineer on the 888 Falcon. Campbell Little just reassuring to Jamie Whincup, hey, great job, great start, and a very calm Jamie Whincup replying, he is flying here.
The significance of those numbers that you gave us, Greg, are that apart from the wet track this morning, that's the lowest ambient and the lowest track temp we've seen through Friday and Saturday, and so car balance will be varying a little, car behaviour will vary a little from what they've been accustomed to in the long run they had Friday. Little mistake there from Winterbottom, the car bobble. Tander has a look at him down here at turn 8. It wasn't the most comfortable run for Winterbottom down there, and he clobbers the apex tyres at turn 8.
He is in a very awkward position, frustrated by not being able to get by Wilson, and now they are queuing up behind. He's having to defend from Tander. Bargwanna has come right up on the rear of Tander. Courtney's lining up for a shot. So too Stephen Johnson, and Steve Owen isn't too far back.
Garth Tander in the background. Are you allowed to block at the start of the race?
Just keep it calm.
And that's the message that needs to be reinforced. There you go, down the inside.
Blocking no longer an issue. He's out after Wilson now. Would you have ever guessed or predicted that two WPS Fords would be in the top 5 positions at the start of this race? Tander has just gone the fastest lap of the race at a 1:11.9, so he and Whincup trading blows for who's fastest on track. Larry Perkins keeps a watchful eye on car number 7.
That's very fast in the high 11s with a full load of fuel. Remember, they start with the mandatory maximum 120 litres. The expected burn around here, depending on who you talk to, and the trimming of their fuel economy is in the region of 1.9 to 2 litres per lap. Sticky throttle problem yesterday also for Todd Kelly and Rick Kelly in the Toll HSV car. We're on board the Jack Daniels Holden in question. Let's have a listen and see whether it's got an overrunning throttle. Sometimes it's pretty subtle. We wouldn't necessarily pick it up. It only has to, inverted commas, idle quick for it to be a problem. Sometimes they'll stick at 4 or 5,000 and it just runs on in the corner. Doesn't look too bad there at the moment. It doesn't look too flustered, but maybe it was a temporary issue.
It is down to half a second between Jamie Whincup and Garth Tander. The two cars that started on the front row, Tander bogged it down and has been playing catch-up ever since, but he's caught Jamie Whincup.
A couple of other things that are important to note as well. Russell Ingall's reporting a temporary issue with his car. Barry Hay has asked him to try and live with it, stay out of the hot air, find some clean air behind other cars and try and bring those temperatures under control. Mark Winterbottom, meantime, has been shown the bad sportsmanship flag for clobbering the cones at the top of the back straight at turn 6 there and taking too much track with him, and so they've warned him to try and make sure that he drives the car on the road.
One massive mover in this field has been Greg Murphy. He's made up 11 positions in the first 11 laps, and he is flying. There he is at the back of your screen on the right. He's right up behind Russell Ingall now in the Super Cheap Auto Commodore. It has been a very frustrating year for Greg Murphy, but this may be the turning point. It's a different chassis to what he's been using all year. This is the car that was heavily crashed by Cameron McConville at the Clipsal 500, and Murph is on the move.
Stone Brothers garage boys during the break. Barry Hay, who's the engineer on Russell Ingall's car, has been pacing in and out of the garage, keeping an eye on the car on track. Now, Murphy's last lap time was some 0.4 of a second quicker than Russell Ingall, so he's closing on Ingall. And it's such a shame because Ingall had no radio chat throughout the course of the early part of the race here. There was no bar movement whatsoever. And Barry said, look, all that feedback tells me if Russell's calm, he's going okay. We've got a good race car. And all of a sudden, they've got a spike in temperature. And as Neil mentioned, they thought it may have been because he was pursuing other cars and tucked in behind them, sucking all that hot air. Russell's pulled out of that, and it hasn't made a huge difference. He may be in some trouble. We'll keep an eye on it.
Move for the lead. Garth Tander's in front. He gets Jamie Whincup, but it took him 14 laps. And now the number 2 machine is in front. Can Whincup go with him? This may be a hard ask.
Tander's last lap was at 12.59. Campbell Little talking to Jamie Whincup, stay in contact. Jamie's last lap was a 12.77. If you do have a rise in water temperature, that can certainly have a negative effect in terms of power output, so that's something that Russell is going to have to manage.
Into the car.
That's the voice of Greg Murphy. Lots of understeer, can't tune it out, so he's fiddling with the anti-roll bars in the car, trying to get it to change its behaviour. Sometimes it's due to the high fuel load, although they're 15 odd laps in, so 30 litres of fuel's come off the back of that car already. Something in the order of about 20 odd kilos.
Neil, it's been interesting standing down at the entry to pit lane here on the last turn. Jamie Whincup's car seems to be, and sounds to me, there's a lot of wheel spin coming out of that car coming off the last turn. Maybe that's where the pace that Tander has on him at the stage, and also just keeping a bit of an eye on Jim Richards and that Briscoe car. Those two lead drivers are starting to catch Jimmy, and he doesn't really want to go that lap down.
Can't afford to go a lap down this early. You can't afford to go a lap down ever if you're going to stay in contention for the Better Electrical 500.
That's a very important point here, Lee, because in order to process your way through the pit lane and take on your fuel and your tyres and do a driver change, in net terms it's about a 60-second transition. The lap time round here is about 72 seconds, so if you're more than 12 seconds behind the leader and you pit, you'll go a lap down. If you go a lap down, you can be trapped for the rest of the day, and it's pretty well game over for the afternoon, and that's something that they'll all be watching very carefully. Incidentally, the last lap for Garth Tander was massively quicker than Jamie Whincup, who was really hurt by having to make room for that passing move. Jamie's time was a 13.5. Garth was still in the 12s. The margin now 0.8 of a second. We'll see what it is as Garth gets up to the control line this time. But look at the gap that those guys have opened over Max Wilson. Winterbottom had a look down here in turn one the previous lap. They both got a bit pinched up through the corner, but it stays resolved that way for the moment. But again, let's underline this outstanding performance from the WPS forwards. They are on fire this weekend. Max Wilson third.
Really clear. That's Bargwanna asking for clarification.
In fifth. Here we go. We'll watch the field go through again. We'll see where your favourites are.
In the absence of Mark Larkham, Adam Perry and Keith Evers, the team manager, they are running the show and doing a great job. It wasn't that long ago as we see the 88 car in a different combination. There's so much to talk about here with Richard Lyons and Alan Simonson, the pairing in that car. Wasn't that long ago Craig Gore said to me, mark my words, before too long we will be on the podium and we will win races. And he said, about now, he said, you might laugh at me, but I reckon we're about the second or third best Ford team. Now, you have your own opinion, but the facts are the facts. They are running strong now.
Max was a little under pressure that time off the end of the back straight. He was using a lot of road past the apex of 6. It mispositioned him slightly for 7. He lost a little bit of ground. He's really having to drive that car very hard. If anything, it looks like Jason Bargwanna might be slightly more in rhythm at this stage. Max is just looking a fraction vulnerable to Mark Winterbottom, but he's got track position on his side, so he's in good shape.
Behind Tander and Whincup, it's Wilson, Winterbottom and Bargwanna. That's the top 5. Then Courtney, Johnson, Todd Kelly, Steve Owen and Dean Canto. On the 18th lap of 161, we're just getting into a rhythm at the Better Electrical Sandown 500. While we were in the break, the Jack Daniels Commodore of Paul Dumbrell was forced to come into pit lane.
He reported the fact that he had about a quarter of a turn of lock and there was something sort of dragging in the steering. Didn't feel right in the steering. They were going to do one tyre. They decided to do all 4 and they only put about 8 seconds of fuel on and sent him on his way. Then this happened. He came, this is after pit lane exit, down at turn 2 and 3. And as soon as he left over that curbing there, the car wouldn't turn to the left and he's whacked the wall, and so they'll bring that car back in again.
And that was a pretty decent slap. Watch this.
So you can't, there's no lock on that at all. There's not steering at all. So they must have some weird steering issue with that car.
Back in again for the second time in 2 laps. It was a frustrating race last year here for Stephen Richards and Paul Dumbrell. History is repeating.
And they'll put those incompressible jacks under the car for safety's sake. And the reason they bring the car into the garage, obviously more tools of trade at their fingertips, but you can have more people work on the car because when they're on the other side of the active line in the pit lane, there's a maximum number of 8 people allowed to work on the car. In here, it's a free-for-all.
Darryl, are you there?
Very disappointing here for the Jack Daniels team. But I'd say they're going to be in there for quite some period of time.
Yeah. And meanwhile, back at the front, Garth Tander has amassed a 3.2 second lead over Jamie Whincup. Then we rejoin this battle for third between Wilson, Winterbottom and Bargwanna. That has unchanged. Zinger replay, one of the Fujitsu Fords.
Remember we talked about catching that curve down there at turn 8 and how easy it is to lock a brake if you do just kiss the edge of it. And that's exactly what's happened there. This is a little Formula Ford battle, this one, isn't it? You've got Max Wilson, Mark Winterbottom, Jason Bargwanna, James Courtney's knocking on the back of this door as well. There's a bunch of them all together. There they are. This is turn 1.
Winterbottom's made some inroads here. This is looking promising. Will he throw it up the inside? No. Thinks twice about that. Bargwanna's had a good look at him, but doesn't seem to be able to do anything about it. And in behind, remaining very patient, is James Courtney in the Gelwin Ford. And he's got a comfortable margin over Steve Johnson and Todd Kelly. And then Steve Owen and Dean Canto hanging in there within the top 10.
Mate, just make the best of it. You're doing a great job, mate. You'll get him eventually.
Mark Winterbottom there in conversation with Phil Keed. So he's talking about having a battle on his hands with something, and they're just trying to settle him down and say, you just make the best of it, do what you can. But he is in danger at the moment of being passed by Jason Bargwanna, who looks very racy.
To highlight the partnerships here, of course, as you would imagine, Mark Winterbottom is teamed with Bright. But in the WPS camp, Max Wilson is teamed with David Bernard, who makes his return to V8. And in the car 10, Bargwanna is teamed with Craig Baird. Greg?
There is a serious issue of some kind here affecting the series champion Russell Ingall. Jimmy Stone is in consultation with Barry Hay, his engineer, and the group of guys that work on car 1. Now, the engine temperature, from what I can gather, has normalised. That's okay. It's been a brake temperature issue in the last few laps. Barry's at a loss to explain what it could be. He thinks maybe one of the pads in the front of the car is damaged. So they're working out a game plan here by the sounds of it on what to do. They're asking Russell to try and adjust the way he drives the car so they can at least keep some sort of strategy and not go out of sync with their plan.
As you may have noticed, Ingall has lost that 12th place to Greg Murphy, who continues his amazing run early in this race.
He's been complaining of what's described as a long brake pedal, which means it's travelling too far. As he pushes it away from him, but just here's the move that we talked about there with Murphy coming up the inside at turn 9. And that's because Russell's not strong under brakes at the moment. The brake pedal's travelling too far. He suspects it's a heat issue, and that's what that little impromptu meeting's about down there in the Stone Brothers bunker.
You're riding with Ingall now, top end of the circuit.
And it's all by matters of degree, because if we were to transport you out of the lounge room, folks, and put you in that car, I'll guarantee you still think the braking performance is still pretty special, because the thing is rocketing down here at just on 255 odd Ks.
Challenge for second. That was Winterbottom on Wilson. A little hip and shoulder by the look of it. And Wilson has run off outside turn 1. Rejoins the racing surface, but has lost perhaps half a dozen places. Winterbottom now in second. Here's Max. Looked like he was trying to defend, and Winterbottom said, no, I'm coming through. Was that Winterbottom saying I did touch him? Yeah.
I didn't. He said I didn't.
I didn't touch him. Zinger replay, and look, he wasn't even close. Wasn't even close.
It's because Max was just trying to defend, but it's the dirty side of the road there. They're both at their braking maximum, and as it turns out for Max, a little bit beyond it. So that's a shame. But no massive damage done there. He's going to lose a few spots for sure. That's not a good sign, though. Seeing that gravel come over the front means that some of it will have found its way into the brake ducts and also the radiator intake area. Darryl?
Yes, Neil, I don't have much more information with the Jack Daniels car of Stephen Richards and Paul Dumbrell, but I've been watching Paul sit in the car and the animation of his hands, and he's talking to Larry, and Larry's crawling around the car and under it right now. Everyone's all over the car. They've checked the airbox, obviously, initially for that sticking throttle. They thought they had, and Larry said there was nothing on the telemetry, but Stephen Richards just told me, he said he reported, as you said, with the steering, grabbing and locking, but they're at a loss to know why that is happening.
Steve Johnson in the First Rock Home Loans Ford. He's got Todd Kelly all over him, but still running strong early in this race. And he will hand over to Will Davison. It was only 2 years ago Johnson stood on the podium here with Warren Luff. Loves this event, likes endurance events, and is well placed in the top 10 in this championship. Here's Todd Kelly.
Unusual to see the boys in the open face helmets, and we've covered that off a few times over the weekend. Another radio message that's interesting. Garth Tander's saying the car feels really good as the fuel load burns down. Now they're going into a slight conservation mode, trying to restrict the fuel burn, keep it to a minimum, open up more opportunities for them later in the race, and also conserve on tyres. So now it's all about just staying in the rhythm. 3.6-second margin, Tander to Whincup. Last lap for Garth was a 12.8. For Jamie, a 13 even. For Mark Winterbottom, a 12.6. So good speed from Mark.
Something we haven't mentioned in great detail so far today is a huge welcome back to V8s for Glenn Seaton, a two-time series champion, joins James Courtney. That partnership will stay the same for today and for the Super Cheap Auto 1000 at Bathurst. It was 12 months ago today that James Courtney made his V8 debut with the Holden Racing team. Now he's a full-time V8 supercar driver, and it's been a testing year, to say the least. But over the last couple of rounds, James has come on strong. He has finally got his head around what it takes to be competitive in a V8 supercar, and he's now starting to apply some increased pressure on Jason Bargwanna.
It's ironic looking at the signage on the side of the car. It throws me every time I read it, because Glenn's daughter's name is Courtney, so it's Courtney Seaton. And of course, when you look at the combination of drivers, it's Courtney Seaton.
Bargwanna will hand over to Bernard. And David Bernard has been in some form of semi-retirement. He has not done any driving since leaving V8s at the end of 2005. So that will be, other than testing, of course, that will be a huge moment for David Bernard when he gets behind the wheel of the number 10 WPS Ford.
Interesting to note how the co-drivers are going through this nervous time where they're just waiting to get their stint. Jason Bright, he's got the headset on, he's watching the monitors, not missing a thing. Adam Macro in the Fujitsu garage, he is bouncing around like a prize fighter. But in the Glenford's garage, Jonathan Webb, believe it or not, is sound asleep. His mechanics are having a laugh and taking photos of him. Webby is that relaxed, he is sound asleep.
Someone who is not sound asleep is Greg Murphy, because he snatched another position away. 24th to 11th. He's disposing here of Andrew Jones in the Firepower Commodore. Well, he was pretty down in the dumps, to say the least, Greg Murphy, yesterday after qualifying 24th, but things are going beautifully. Massive lockup from Cameron McLean as Alan Simonson ducks through in the 88 Better Electrical Ford.
Front left tyre is not going to like that. Cam McLean will no doubt feel the effects of the flat spot on the tyre after that. That may require changing. It'll probably be most likely shaking now as he's driving around. 4.2 seconds is the margin. Tander to Whincup, and there's Russell Ingall off on the exit of turn 4. I heard a conversation with Barry. I couldn't pick up precisely what it was about, but this will be related to the issues with not being able to pull the car up.
And Ingall has...
Starting to lock rears a little, but I'm still getting a blue light flashing on turn in.
That's Jamie Whincup.
I'm happy with where it is at the moment, yeah.
Now, the reason they're just talking about brake bias. When it talks about a little blue light flashing, it's a little light system that many of them have on their steering wheels to tell them when the front brake's locked, so they can actually sense whether they're at the braking maximum. So they're suggesting that he put a bit more front brake bias on. He's saying, I can't, because if I do, I'm going to see more of those blue lights. That's what that conversation's about.
Russell Ingall said earlier, if we don't start winning races, we will not have this number 1 on the side of the Caltex Ford any longer. He dropped to 5th in the championship at the last round, and he is struggling big time here today.
Further to explain the whole brake bias situation, they're about halfway through this first stint now, so they've used about half the available fuel. They start with 120 litres, they've got about 60 odd left now, and as that fuel burns away, you can't afford to carry the same level of brake percentage on the rear, because you don't have the weight over the rear of the car. So typically through these races now, you gradually, in very small increments, shift the percentage slightly forward to the front brake. When the incoming driver comes in and they put another 120 litres of fuel on, that brake bias will return a little more rearward. The idea is to always try and carry as much rear as you possibly can, but of course you can't maintain it as the load changes.
This is hurting, not only in this race, but in the championship chase. Stephen Richards and Paul Dumbrell, both drivers are in the top 10. That car is still stationary.
One thing I'm surprised about, Lee, is we've not really seen too much nonsense in the early part of the race.
It's been clean.
A very clean race so far. Not a lot of mistakes, not a lot of issues. A couple of things that we'll follow up though. We'll get more of an update on those shortly. Precisely what's happening with Paul Dumbrell. Just as I say, there's no nonsense. Something weird occurs here. And off goes Cam McLean on the outside of turn 1 in the FPR Ford. But we'll get more of an update on how things are progressing down at the Jack Daniels pit with that number 7 car of Dumbrell and Stevie Richards.
It's Jose Fernandez in the 26. That's his second excursion off track. Meanwhile, back to it. The through goes third place, Jason Bargwana, rather fourth place, Jason Bargwana, and the fifth place, James Courtney. Greg?
At Stone Brothers Racing, Luke Youlden has his helmet on and is on standby here in case Russell Ingall pits. They are trying to stretch Ingall as long as possible here. They've got a set of fresh brake pads in case it is a brake pad related issue, and the boys have been trying to figure out. Ross Stone shook his head a few moments ago and said to me there is no reason for a brake drama with this car. They just cannot fathom what might be wrong with it. The boys feel it may be a damaged pad in some ways, and you'll recall, if you follow the game closely, last year at Mount Panorama Bathurst, Russell Ingall had the odd situation of actually changing the front discs on that car as well. Just a few moments ago, the Stone Brothers team brought up a set of discs for the front of the car just in case.
That replay of Jose Fernandez going off, he actually punctured a front tyre there and only got onto the radio to tell the guys about 30 metres from the pit entry. So he came in, no one was ready, hence he spent quite an extra amount of time in the pit lane while the guys were getting the tyre out ready to go.
Race is on here in the top 10.
Interestingly, the last couple of laps, Tanner and Whincup have been locked on a very similar lap speed. 12.8 Garth Tanner, 12.8 Jamie Whincup, indeed 12.8 Mark Winterbottom, 12.8 Jason Bargwana. So there's been a bit of a settling now. We're in a flat orbit for several of the key cars. Not much is happening. It's a 6-second margin, Garth Tanner to Jamie Whincup. Things have just settled down for the moment. The track's beginning to rubber in, the fuel loads are coming down. Everybody's seen a little of everybody else's game now. The next thing that we look for is fuel economy and how efficient the driver change process is going to be, and who's going to do what with their driver combinations. Will they double stint somebody? Will they do an A, B, A scenario? Or will, you know, we see different plays depending on who they've got lined up as the next incoming driver? It's a fascinating question.
Darryl?
Yeah, Lee, Larry Perkins is still all over this car down here. Been watching the team work, haven't had any answers come from Larry exactly right now. He's questioning all the engineers. They're doing the Watts linkage on the back of the car, but also at the front of the car. I noticed when they pulled the left bottom, the left steering arm out of this car, it had a slight bend in it. So obviously there must have been contact somewhere earlier in the race, but it seemed like Paul Dumbrell is saying that there wasn't. And Larry's pushing the guys and looking at wheels, wondering what's gone on in the front left-hand side of that car.
Well, of course, he did make contact with the wall, which could have bent that arm. But the thing that was interesting for me when we saw the replay early on was that as Paul clobbered the ripple strip on the inside at turn 3, there was no apparent left lock on the car as it wandered out to the fence. Right here it was, in fact. And he just wandered wide and clouted the wall. So I think there must have been some sort of an issue. Otherwise, he would have had some lock on. Here's a problem for the Glenford's entry.
Very familiar turn 1 runoff. Not only for that car, this is a common spot for everybody. On the outside of turn 1. And look at this. Problems here for the Owen Kelly Mark Noske car. Mark is running very slowly, limping his way back toward pit lane.
That's a shame. Owen Kelly was quick in this morning's wet warm-up.
And the second Tasman entry.
Temperature update, Lee. The air temperature remains at 21. The track's come down a couple of degrees since the start of the race. It was 26 at the beginning of the race. There was more sunlight around. Now the track temperature is 24. The cloud cover has, in fact, substantially increased. It doesn't look like it's threatening.
That car's not going to make it. I was about to say that when Mark Noske entered the pit lane. And they're struggling to get that home.
Help me.
Noske saying, help me.
Right.
Second car we've seen today, nose into the pit box.
Looking around the rear, so maybe some sort of tail shaft or differential issue, axles. This place is pretty tough on drive line. Lots of second gear corners, quite a few bumps. The cars flare over them and they roar into the air, and that momentarily takes them up onto the rev limiter, and then they land. Can you imagine the stresses that go through the rear end of the car when that's taking place?
2 minutes ago, I was talking to Owen Kelly. He was jumping around. He said, I can't wait to get in the car. I can't wait to get in the car. Well, sadly, now Mark Noski's brought the car in, and Owen's just said to me that Mark is reporting it's lost drive. It's lost drive. It's in the garage. There's about 9 mechanics looking on it, and Owen Kelly, well, he might not even get in the car at this rate.
And that was critical right there. That was Jim Richards going 1 lap down to the sister car of Garth Tander, who now enjoys a 6.3 second lead. But now the day becomes extra difficult for Jim Richards and Ryan Briscoe.
Remember that Jim came in at the end of lap 1 with some damage in the front right-hand corner of that car, and they replaced tyres on that car, and so that's what's put him in that vulnerable position.
Neil, in the meantime, I've dived into the HRT bunker to have a word with Mark Scaife. Garth's doing a good job at the moment. The start may not have been perfect, but the numbers look pretty good at the moment, Mark.
No, look, the car speed's very, very good. We just reported in that the balance is good and it's flowing nicely. So, you know, I'm sure now, you know, you've got to look after the tyres, obviously, in this sort of middle part of this stint. And fuel economy looks good too.
That's good. So what is the plan for you for the remainder of the race, as per at the beginning?
Yeah, look, if we can get as far into this first stint as we think we can, then I'll jump in and finish the race. But you know, yet to be known now with all the normal variables that Sandown pops up. I mean, you know what it's like.
There he is, Mark Scaife, guys. Economy looking good. That's the key sign.
Well, with fuel economy and their whole race plan, they always kind of budget in for some safety car periods. Throughout last year's 161 laps, there was only 1 safety car period. So far, none. This has been a green flag race thus far for 39.5 laps. To run through the field and give you an idea of who is doing what, Tander will hand over to Scaife, Whincup in second will hand over to Craig Lowndes, Winterbottom will hand over to Jason Bright, Bargwanna in fourth will hand over to David Bernard, James Courtney will hand over to Glenn Seaton, Johnson over to Will Davison, Todd Kelly in seventh over to his younger brother Rick, Dean Canto running in eighth will hand over to Lee Holdsworth, in ninth Max Wilson will hand over to David Bernard. I correct myself. Bargwanna is with Baird, isn't he? And back in 10th, Steve Owen will hand over to Tony Longhurst. Craig Lowndes looking relaxed, looking comfortable. His car is in second. He is the defending winner of this race. This is race leader Garth Tander.
Just a conversation a moment ago between Garth and his engineers, just in terms of the tyre pressures. They said, what are they like, mate? And one of the Team BOC cars, I think, has gone off on the outside of one. There was a report that there was some fluid on the road down there. The DJR car's gone off as well. We didn't see any evidence of oil, and that's the Brad Jones, John Bower car. And running with him off the edge of the road there was Alex Davison. So there may have been a little bit of fluid or something down there. Everybody went looking for it and reported on the radio, but we didn't see a lot of evidence of it. Meantime, Russell Ingall has continued. He's down in 14th at the moment. They are stretching him to this first pit stop, and they'll try and have a good look then at what the issue may be.
Yes,
so
mate, it is a driver change this lap.
They bring him in early. So Ingall's going to come in early for a driver change, and they'll look at whatever the problem is. Can you update us, Darryl?
Neil, quick comment from Larry Perkins, and he said to me, he said, look, Darryl, he said, we've just had some sort of steering failure in that car. We're not sure exactly why. Maybe Larry didn't know and he didn't want to tell me. Also, the Jason Richards and Andrew Jones car, they're planning on coming in around lap 57, and Jason Richards will stay in that car till the checkered flag.
This is mirroring 2005 for Russell Ingall and Luke Youlden. This is the exact lap they came in 12 months ago. So Russell Ingall is the first to come in and perform a driver change. Luke Youlden is standing by.
Listen, your belts all the way right off. Reset your fuel.
Instructions from Barry Hay.
Little button on the steering.
Disconnect now.
Anywhere from about 15 seconds north is what it takes for a driver change. And they are completing their compulsory brake pad change as well. Luke Youlden in.
Bad sportsmanship flag's been shown to car number 3 for touching the cones on turn 6.
Start pumping, long pumps.
Long, slow pumps on that brake pedal, just to squeeze those pistons out in the brake calipers and get the pedal up to pressure. Greg's down there.
This is a bit of a weird one, guys. I've just had a look at the pads that have come off. And I can't see any damage to either of the pads, so we're going to have to try and figure out what's happened there for Russell Ingall. We might even try and have a word with him and see if we can engage what's happened to this car. Just I can also quickly report in, since the commencement of the race, we started with an ambient temperature of 21 degrees and a track temperature of 26. Since then, the track temperature has dropped to 23 degrees. The ambient remains the same, but the track temperature has dropped. We'll try and get Russell Ingall and come back to you.
The other thing you need to keep an eye on down there, Greg, is that they have made that pad change. However, the window for the compulsory pad change is between lap 48 and 120. We are only on lap 47. They will have to do another one.
Mick, that's interesting. That's one that we will follow up for sure. You're right, Lee. Now, he was given a whole list of instructions, Luke Youlden. Reset the brake bias because of the full fuel load over the back. Make sure you got pedal pressure. Make sure that the brakes feel normal relative to when he last drove the car. Meantime, Jamie Whitcup also rounding up Jim Richards there.
These are the guys who have already gone down one lap. Cameron McLean just lost a lap to Garth Tander. Jim Richards, because of that damaged front right tyre, did so earlier. Whitcup is 7.4 seconds behind Tander at the front of this field. The top 28 cars on the lead lap. Consider this, last year only 5 cars finished this 500-kilometre race on the lead lap. There is so much still to come. This is the second place Jamie Whitcup. He will hand over to Craig Lowndes within the next 15 or so laps. Perhaps even within the next 10.
Just for the purpose of clarification, the brake pad change compulsory pit stop must be commenced within the following window, expressed as laps completed by the leading car. Laps are between 48 and lap 120.
And that's now. So they did that early, but maybe it was a necessity.
They have had no choice.
Nonetheless, if they are to comply with the rules of this race, they will have to perform another brake pad change. This is Whitcup's first Enduro in a Ford. Last year he raced with Tasman Motorsport, and he and Jason Richards stood third on the podium. It was the beginning of what was a real purple patch for this young man. They went even one better at Bathurst and finished second. And then he got the glorious ride of being Craig Lowndes' teammate. Came out and stunned everybody earlier this year to win the Clipsal 500 in Adelaide. And now he's running second in the Sandown 500.
Did you notice the tyres that were at the apex of turn 8 have moved backwards pretty substantially too, which is pretty normal in these races. They get hit by all and sundry. It slowly moves them back, and then the drivers are able to use a little bit more of the racetrack there. Margin between Garth Tander and that man that we were with is 8 seconds exactly now. He's still in the 12s as he was instructed. 12.9 last lap for Garth Tander, and it was a 12.8 for Jamie Whitcup.
Now Courtney is in. I was about to say he's run into some space there because he's dropped position on Bargwanna, but he seems to have shaken off Steve Johnson, but he is in. Now is Glenn Seaton standing by? Yes.
Brake bias forward, half a turn. Pull your radio.
Pull your radio, loosen your belts. He's getting ready to give it to two-time series champion Glenn Seaton.
Slight overshoot as he pulled up. Not a great deal for James Courtney. He's already out of the car. Seaton getting in. These guys are using the driver assistant to put the straps in. Courtney is already back in the pit bunker. The two guys working at the front of the car here. Good eye or hand-eye coordination. They look at each other as they push back those pistons inside the caliper. Already the brake pads are in. Tyres on.
Keep pumping,
Waiting for fuel. Paul Forgy, the engineer, telling Seaton, pump that pedal up. Get it to full pressure.
Keep pumping the brake pedal. Okay, you got a brake pedal. As soon as that car drops, you're ready to go.
Now, what I can tell you, stall for Glenn Seaton, unfortunately, on the way out. The word from the officials here, I'm going to get clarification on it, but the word from the officials here is, just to confirm, that stop for Ingall has not been completed in the window for the pads.
Well, Greg has got
problems.
Yeah.
He's got much bigger problems. He's off the road, and it's bogged off the edge of the road. I think that could be at turn 2. It is. So whatever the brake issues were, I reckon they might have continued. He's been trapped.
This is Luke Youlden behind the wheel of the #1 Caltex Ford.
I understand the pedal went to the floor for the bit of garbled radio message that I heard, because it was a very, very busy time on the radio with so much going on. Glenn stalled the car as he leapt away. There was lots of radio chat. Meantime, at the other end of the circuit, trouble for Stone Brothers.
Yeah, we can see on TV, Luke. Jim, can you rock it?
He's been trying to rock it.
Get the rock, mate. Get the rock if you can. Try.
He has been trying to rock it, going backwards and then forwards and repeating it.
It takes 2 hands to sometimes pluck the gear lever up and move it away and grab reverse. It's what Luke's doing there at the moment.
Oh, this is frustrating.
The pedal went to the floor.
Back up, buddy.
Safety car has been deployed.
Now everybody will jump in. This could change strategy for so many people. We've gone full course yellow. The safety car's out. This scrambles everything.
Yep. Youlden needs rescuing.
No, he's going to get it out of here.
So race leader is in. Tander is in. Compulsory brake pad change being performed. Fuel going in. Fresh tyres on the #2 HRT Commodore.
The shame is we didn't get to see the precise fuel economy situation with these cars.
This is the Kelly car.
Everybody's getting their pad change out of the way early.
Barguana's out. Baird is in. WPS boys are gone.
I've got to tell you, Paul Wheel was just in. He stayed in the car, and they've done tyres, fuel and pads on that, and they're all rushing because of this safety car. Murphy's now in. He's staying in his car, but I tell you, Neil, we know how heavy these wheels are, and the crew to do 2 cars back to back, they must feel it.
20-odd kilos, not easy to get them onto those drive pegs.
Pad change.
This is the second Toll HSV dealer team Commodore. Tony D'Alberto started the car. His co-driver is Anthony Tratt.
They take away the sprung-loaded clip retainers from behind the caliper there, then they start to squeeze back the pads and the pistons in the caliper. Once they're squeezed back enough, they can take the old pads out. That's what's going on there at the moment. Greg's on the spot.
I'm a little further up pit lane, Neil, in the Stone Brothers garage, right up the very back, in fact, away from the commotion of all these pit stops and all the activity going on amongst the Stone Brothers team. Russell Ingall's wife, Julia, is here to lend a bit of support, and the most disappointed man in pit lane has got to be you. What happened with the brakes, firstly?
Oh, mate, I don't know, from about lap 3, we started losing the brake pedal, and I sort of started pressing on and said to the guys, I don't know how hard this is going to get, because I had to pump it probably 8 times between each corner. So in the end, I was actually left foot braking. I actually got a bit of a rhythm going where I could left foot brake, keep the pressure enough just to stop it. And funnily enough, I got down to lap times, which, sort of the front half of the field we're doing. We got back down in the low 13s, and I said to the guys, no, I'll stay out here until a scheduled stop so we don't have to stop again. But it looks like it's caught Luke out. I mean, it was really bad. It was going straight to the floor. Unless you caught it and pumped it enough before each corner, it went straight to the floor, and obviously it's bit Luke.
The weird thing here is that the team, just from assessing the brake pads that have come out of the car, they can't seem to find the reason for this, can they?
No, it looks
Safety
like
car back in position of pit exit.
I told them that on the radio, that it's definitely hydraulic. It wasn't pads. The pad temperature was right. So they're going to have to bring it in. They're going to have to bleed the brake system, which is going to cost us a hell of a lot of time. And I'll tell you what, this is this is pretty shattering, because I'm afraid that #1 plate is going to be peeled off the side of the car this year, and I'm really I know Ford and Caltex were really hoping to retain this, as well as myself, to retain this #1 this year, but I'm afraid, mate, she's gone out the window.
That's the word from Russell Ingall. Very disappointed man right now.
Interesting strategy scenario here, because they have elected not to bring in Jamie Whincup in this period, and I reckon that's going to hurt him in the not too distant future, because now we've gone back to green race conditions. Others have been able to make their stop under the yellow scenario. When he does pit, if he pits under green, that's pretty dramatic. And we're coming up to the end of the fuel window here for them.
And look at Garth Tander. He has already been in. He's performed his stop. He's refueled, retired, and done the brake pad change. He's carving his way through the field. Whincup has stayed out. Meanwhile, Jimmy Richards is running second on the road, and he's trying to get his lap back from Jamie Whincup. And Tander, who's done everything he needed to do, is forcing his way through the field. Whincup could be forced to pit under green flag conditions, and that will be costly.
Going back to Russell's remarks a few minutes ago, they mustn't have found anything structural, mechanical, any obvious issues with the brakes, because if they've had to revert to giving them a bleed, there must have been air in the system for some reason, and that's why you can see them doing, tipping oil in there before and basically bleeding the brakes. That's a slow process, as Russell said, so that's pretty catastrophic for them.
Greg Murphy has stayed in this car. Cameron McConville yet to have his first stint. You ride with Murphy. Inside of turn 8, thinks about it twice. He's chasing Lee Holdsworth in the Gary Rogers Motorsport Commodore.
Campbell has just asked Jamie Whincup, I need better lap times, I need you to push a little. And Jamie fired back on being held up. So Whincup is the leader. Let's just try and sort this order for you. It's an interesting time, as some have elected to stop and others haven't.
Oh, he was getting hustled there by Alan Simonson.
This is earlier.
That was coming out of turn 11. This is back down, heading into turn 2.
Most of the blokes you're with at the moment are not for position.
And so with the rears locking and the car spinning down there, it tells me that the fronts are just not effective at all. So Whincup's the leader. Andrew Jones is second. They're going to put the fuel in this car now. So they said don't drive off. Runs in here, single point refuel coupling. Topping her up, making sure that it's got the full 120 litres on it. Remember, he hardly got to run. Goes in at a rate of 4 litres a second. Andrew Jones is second at the moment. Garth Tander is third, but as Lee said, the critical part of that message is that they've done everything. They've done the fuel, they've done the tyres, they didn't do the driver change. Then it's Alan Simonson in position 4, Mark Winterbottom 5. Let's go down to Mark Howard.
Absolute pandemonium in the pit lane, guys, when the safety car came out. Several teams dashed in, and it was very difficult for everyone to get in their pit bay. Marcus Marshall came in, and as he turned in, he actually clipped one of the tyres that was being held by the BOC boys for their pit stop, and the tyre went bouncing out of his hand, a couple of bounces into the garage. Lucky no one was in the way, but by gee, it was fairly intense down here.
They managed to bleed all 4 corners of car 1 for Russell Ingall. And while Luke Yilden was there, I managed to grab a quick word with Barry Hay as he exited pit lane. I said, did you find any air in the system during that bleed? And he said, we found heaps of it. He said, and that points to another problem. They're not sure what the cause of the air in the lines is.
This is the second better electrical Ford. Alan Simonson out and Richard Lyons in. This is a very talented British driver. He beat James Courtney in the Japanese GT Championship last year and still competes up there.
And leads the Japanese GT Championship for this 2006 season. He drives for Nismo, he drives for Nissan. He's also been a Formula Nippon champion in Japan, and that was what we once knew as the Japanese Formula 3000 Championship. Very experienced, very quick driver. New fastest lap of the race, Garth Tander, 1:11.7, 1:04. And that's pretty handsome with all that fuel on board.
Oh, look at this, look at this. Richard Lyons is getting roughed up on his first lap out. Big things made about this guy, and his teammate, Jamie Whincup, gets held up a little bit behind the second BOC Ford. Dives to the inside, he needs to get by here. Looked like he missed a gear maybe. And gets shuffled back again. Frantic stuff.
Campbell's just on the radio suggesting to Jamie that he calm down.
Well, look at this. He needs to get on with it. And this is a pressure cooker situation. Almost contact there between Richard Lyons and Jim Richards. Wow. And at the same time, Garth Tander has just laid down a 1:11.7.
Just switching to reserve now on the 888 car, and they are in big danger of having to make a green stop.
And there is Garth Tander, and just there is Jamie Whincup. He is going to be lapped very, very soon. That's how costly staying out during that safety car was. Pressure on.
Guys, let's roll.
Matt Halliday.
For a full stop, 888. Driver.
Cam McLean out. Oh, contact here. This is exiting turn 4. One of the GRM cars, Philip Skyfleet, in trouble.
Yeah, that's the exit of 4 cars in an awkward spot. That will trigger a full course yellow. That's the break that 888 needed.
And there you have it. And the word will come for Whincup to pit. He's got a 3.9 second margin over the second place Garth Tander.
Greg Murphy's getting a gearbox temperature warning in his car. Oh, that was awkward.
Whoa.
And Neil on standby down here in pit lane. The 888 team, they are ready for the arrival of the lead car in this outfit. So it's all happening here. The Luke Yulden car is back in pit lane for the Caltex crew as well. So a busy period. And I can also tell you, I've been down to the Holden Racing team during that last safety car period. I asked Rob Starr, I said, did you leave Garth Tander in there? I think, as you suspected, Neil, just simply because Garth had not done the minimum requirement of laps for this race. And he said, absolutely.
Well, we were imagining a safety car being deployed. That has not happened as yet.
No, and so that means that this is, in net terms, a hurtful stop. Lowndes in. The wheels jumping around as people are working around the front of it, doing the pad change. In the background, race director Tim Schenken saying that he's monitoring the number 33 car, Philip Skyfleet, where it is on the side of the road on the back straight. Still no sign of the safety car or a full course yellow. So the seconds that are ticking by here are hurting Craig Lowndes and Jamie Whincup.
Jason, grab another pair of pliers.
They've got a jam pad. They've got a jam pad in the front left-hand corner.
And Tander's at the top end of the circuit. Lowndes will go down a lap. Right here.
Goldsky.
That is game over.
This is so frustrating. The boys are grabbing anything they can to get the pad out. Neil, just to explain, the caliper, which surrounds the actual disc itself, the pad to the outside, the wheel side is out. The one on the inside of the car is the one jammed inside the caliper at the moment. They've got it. They've got it out by the looks of it. Okay, I need to put those clips in place, seal it, and put that front tyre on. What a heartbreaking stop for the series leader, Craig Lowndes.
Way you go, mate. Way you go.
Finally released.
And he'll stay in now for the balance of the race.
Hey mate, bars and your brake bias, we've just been lapped in that lot, so we need to organise ourselves and just do the best job we can for the rest of the day.
There you go, that's straight from the horse's mouth, and the inner pad is cocked there, and they haven't been able to get it out. And what you're looking at there is a fuel reading. See that lots of different teams got lots of different systems up and down. In fact, that might even be a clock, that reading there. But different people are weighing their fuel out of the rigs, starting with a total weight at the beginning, looking at the weight at the end, knowing precisely what they've dumped into the car for the management of fuel in this race. Light systems being used on the booms as well, so that everybody knows when the job's done around the car that it's time to release the car off the jacks. So some using timing mechanisms, some using weight.
So with 100 laps to go, this is the order. Garth Tander leads the way from Mark Winterbottom, and Todd Kelly is third. Craig Baird, Lee Holdsworth, Greg Murphy is sixth, Will Davison seventh, John Bow is eighth, Stephen Ellery and Tony D'Alberto. That is the top 10 with 100 to go. For the defending champions, Team Better Electrical, 888 Race Engineering, it has not been their day. With Craig Lowndes, Jamie Whincup going down a lap, and while we're in the break, Richard Lyons, who just took over from Alan Simonson, ran off the circuit, approaching the last turn, turn 11, cut the corner, did some grass tracking. As you can see, there's damage to the front of the car, covered in mud, and he is coming in this lap. There's his skid marks.
There was a little bit of confusion. Kevin May's on the radio there, and they mucked around there. His wheel tracks through the mud and the grass and the sand. Now they've peeled him off. Now, an important thing and a point to make here was that we had the safety car deployed on lap 51. In terms of the maximum minimums for this race, as Richard Lyon comes in for attention to the front right-hand corner on the number 88 888 car, the maximum number of drivers laps that any one driver can do is 107 laps, and therefore, of course, that leaves 54 laps for the other guy. Two different teams going about their business two different ways. In order for 888 to double stint Craig Lowndes, which was their desire, they couldn't bring Jamie Whincup in on lap 51 because he hadn't done the 54 laps. So they had to wait till lap 59 in order to then put Craig in the car to double stint him. However, HRT had faith in Garth Tander because of his pace, so they brought him in. He'll now stay in the car and double stint. Therefore, Mark Scaife will do the final stint. Greg?
Just to add more, Neil, on the 888 entry, as well as the boys continue working on the sister car here, putting that right front on. Your call before, Neil, about the clock ticking over at the top of their fuel rig is absolutely spot on. It's a calculator of time and the amount of time, or the measured time, if you like, for fuel going into the car. So it went for 27.92 seconds in the case of Whincup and Lowndes. That equates to 118 litres. Remember that these cars have a tank capacity of 120 litres, so they were getting right down to the bottom there in that lead 888 entry. I've also had a word to Kevin May about that brake pad, that inner brake pad which stuck between the caliper and the disc. He said there is absolutely no reason for it. There is no damage to the pad. The mechanics seem to suggest that the pistons went back inside the caliper okay. And Jamie Whincup, when I spoke to him, said, look, I don't recall accidentally bumping the pedal when I bailed out of the car either. So a bit of a freakish one, that brake pad.
They creep sometimes, Greg, and what happens is as they creep back out, they cock the pad because the pad's worn down. It doesn't occupy the normal space, so they start to cock sideways a little. It'll be nobody's fault. It's just the way things have unfolded. Darryl?
Well, Neil, I'm with a guy that's got to be happy so far for the weekend, the way things initially went. Cam, you and Greg Murphy now have moved up 20 positions for this race.
Yeah, look, Murph got a great start. I mean, he moved up to, I think, P16 on the first lap. He made 8 spots, so we're very happy so far. The plan was I was going to jump in, but that safety car came out about 7 laps too early because I was going to double stint to the finish, and now we've got to let Murph in to double stint, and I'll jump in after that for the last stint.
You make many changes this morning. Obviously, the track was wet this morning, so it's difficult to know what improvements you've done to the car. Yeah,
we didn't have a very good qualifying car. We changed it radically overnight, and unfortunately it was damp this morning, so we've sort of gone back to how we actually had it, you know, earlier in the weekend, minus a few changes, and it turned out it's a pretty good race car, which we were confident it would be.
Some of the radio chat that I've caught early on, Murph saying I think he had a lot of push there at one stage, he couldn't dial it out. Then there was a gearbox temperature issue. How is all that?
Yeah, it was just the sensor's a bit faulty, so it's fluctuating. That's okay. The understeer seems to be when he gets up on another car, he loses a lot of aero front grip. Once he gets clear traffic, he's got his balance back, so I think hopefully it's reasonably tunable during the race.
It's a good car when you get in it.
Yeah, thanks, mate.
Going back to that discussion before where Greg was adding some information about what was going on with the caliper and the pistons, when I said they creep, I was talking about the pistons inside the brake caliper. It's a hydraulic system, so when you use those pliers to squeeze the pads back and you therefore squeeze the pistons in the caliper and you therefore shove the oil up the line, as soon as you take the pliers away, what happens is the oil starts to fight back a little, and it then moves the oil, moves the piston, therefore moves the pad, and because the pad's so worn, it moves sideways. Here we go. Greg Murphy. And he'll be feeling a shake through the steering. This is his foot cam. Three shots there showing the car on the track, what it looks like out the screen, and how busy he is in terms of the dance to get the car around here. Greg is a left foot braker. Drives it like a go-kart. That's the dead pedal on the left, the foot rest on the extreme left. The clutch pedal is just resting on slightly. You can't put too much load on that though. He's just moving it ever so slightly on the flat shifts. You use your foot there to anchor your body and keep yourself secure in the car.
Steve Johnson's also a left foot braker, and with Will Davison coming into the car to share the duties there, they've had to alter where they have the pedals, the position of the pedals for Will to reach a compromised position so Will can not drive it the way Stephen does, because Will doesn't left foot brake like Steve. But it's interesting in these Enduros, the subtle changes that need to be made to have a perfect environment.
Some people have got double belt sets. Some people have got seats that swivel and slide and go up and down and move. Others have got seat inserts. Some have multi-positions on the steering wheel. Lots of different combinations. And physically, many of the drivers are very different. Greg just safety taps that brake pedal to make sure he's got pressure before he brakes into turn 1. So he carries the brake a long way through turn 1. If you look to the top right-hand corner of that bottom left-hand corner picture, if you understand what I'm saying, you can actually see the steering column there. You see the amount of lock he's applying together with the little corrections. There he is turning in. Now he's starting to unwind lock. Little correction to catch the slide. Flat. Heading up the back straight. 6th gear, 260 kilometres per hour.
Not only in endurance racing do you have to compromise. Now here's an interesting situation. These guys have no radio.
Yeah, there's a little, just a tiny little plug on the, usually on the right-hand side of your helmet, and it's very easy to bump it when you're getting in the car. So they're asking Matt to reach around, try and find the end of those earpieces. Whoa, trouble here for car number 8 coming back from the grass. David Bernard on board now. Max Wilson's out of the car. And so if he can fish around in amongst all the belts and tubes and various things, they might find the end of his earpieces and be able to plug them back into his helmet.
Another big winner due to that caution period was car 67, the Sirame Commodore of Paul Morris and Stephen Ellery. They've gone from last to 9th. They started this race from pit lane. They're running 9th. However, they have not completed their compulsory stop for pads, and that was Bernard with a massive lockup.
And we saw the aftermath of that before, but that will almost certainly be a flat spot on that front left tyre. Early in the stint, he's trying to come to terms with how different the car feels to when he would have run around a lot on Friday. But Garth Tander double stinting in this opening stage of the race, about to round up David Bernard, who will have a flat spot on that front left tyre, but he reported before that it wasn't too bad, but he now goes a lap down, and that's critical. Remember, the number 8 car was actually vying for not the lead of the race, but right up at the very sharp end in the early stages. The big story here is the very big difference in strategy between the Holden Racing Team and 888 Race Engineering. And I don't know whether I made myself clear earlier, but because that safety car came out on lap 51, we hadn't yet reached the minimum time, the driver window required. You need to do 54 laps in order for the other driver to do the 107 laps, just for the way the minimums, maximums go, the way the rules are written. HRT, they weren't worried about that. They saw a yellow, they dived in, they took the opportunity to do pads, to do tyres, to do fuel, even though they hadn't got to the bottom of the tank. Oh, that's ugly. That was a massive, massive lock up there.
Jonathan Webb,
he's going to
Porsche Carrera Cup driver.
No, got away with it. Kissed the wall lightly and stayed in the throttle. How lucky is that? Most people that end up out there on the beach.
That's all right, mate. Just put your head down, concentrate on your job from here.
There'll be rocks drop out underneath this thing everywhere as he gets down to the braking area now. There they are on cue at turn 9 and 10. And the difference with what happened here is you can see he locks the front left and can't get the car to turn. When the front wheels are not rotating, you can't change the direction of the car. Releases the brake pedal, picks up the throttle.
He did a good job actually to get out of it.
Just going back to that remark with the strategy, 888 were so keen to get a scenario where they wanted Craig Lowndes to double stint that they ended up leaving Jamie Whincup in the car. The problem here for car number 3, Jason Richards is now in that car. Andrew Jones did the first stint, and they've obviously got a problem. And as a result, I'll try and get this story done eventually, as a result of leaving Jamie in the car, they've ended up coming in, making their stop in green flag conditions. By the time they put Lowndes in the car, they dropped a lap, and that's a big deal.
Mark.
Dean Canto, you started the race in 11th place, you handed it over to Lee in 6th, a very good stint.
Yeah, the car's obviously working really well. We didn't really qualify where we wanted to yesterday. On my first flyer, I made a mistake, went off and ripped the gearbox cooler off, and it was making it a little bit slippery for me for a while, and we came in, fixed that, but only sort of went out with about 7 minutes to go in qualifying, and unfortunately, yeah, started 11th, really wanted to be in the shootout, and we probably would have been there, and no, the car's really strong today.
Even for a fine physical specimen like yourself, this is a demanding race. I noticed you got out of the car and you put something straight into your drink. What was that?
It's just an energy gel. Obviously, a lot of bike riders use it on being on the road for a while, and your carbohydrates and your sugar levels do deteriorate a fair bit in the car, and just to sort of perk myself back up, I'll throw one of them down and plenty of fluids.
Very quickly, you're going to get back out for another stint?
Yes, I will.
Good luck.
Cheers, mate.
Lee Holdsworth is in the car right now. Speaking of another Holden team that's doing well, is the second Toll HSV car, the combination of Anthony Tratt and 20-year-old Tony D'Alberto. They have completed all of their compulsories as far as the first set, have done their brake pad change, tyres and fuel, and they are running in 10th place. That's a fine effort for a new combination. Tander with a 10.7 second lead. Winterbottom, Todd Kelly, Greg Murphy, Craig Baird. That's the top 5. Then this man here, Lee Holdsworth from Will Davison, John Bow for Team BOC. Then Steve Ellery in the Cirame Commodore and Tony D'Alberto 10. That's how they sit after 75 laps. And still some drivers yet to get in their car, and this is something we didn't expect to see. Both Tasman cars have been in the garage, and Neil Burns there, the engine man, on the left, shaking his head.
And the telltale signs there, the oil beneath the car on the little trail. Now, car number 22's gone off seal the gravel there in the front.
Kept it going, I just went off in the gravel a bit.
Ryan Briscoe at the wheel. Went off in the gravel. Where did that happen? Scat mark on the front.
Keep an eye on the water temp for you.
On the front right-hand corner, happened on lap 1. The cars are really different to drive in this scenario than they are on Friday when you're rolling around in practice and you've got time to play yourself in. When you've got to come out of the gate and go whack, and the track conditions change, the car performance has changed, the brake pedal's generally longer, the brake performance is not quite as good, the car's really fat with fuel. Very different scenario. This is the hard part about endurance racing. So it's happened down here at turn 8 by the look of it. So there's Ryan over the curbing at 7. So he's touched that turn 8 curb. We mentioned at the top of the show when we did our little track facts segment, if you touch that curb, you're a goner, because it'll instantly lock the brake and then you can't get the car to pull up in time for the left-hander down the bottom. Sorry, turn 7 curb.
Jim Richards, who did the opening stint out of the car, watching his younger V8 rookie co-driver handling Sandown for the first time.
Jason Richards, some real disappointment. You brought the car straight into the garage. What's the problem?
Look, it's actually blowing the diff. I mean, obviously don't know exactly, but they're replacing it now. Just, you know, the whine got louder and louder. I'll tell you what, I was a bit nervous coming up over the hill. You know, you're flat out doing 250, 260 Ks, and this whine's getting there, and you go, I wonder if the whack wheel's going to lock up at any time. But it happened early on the straight, and a miracle has got us back to the pit lane.
You've had a similar situation to this in testing. Is there any link there?
Look, we haven't had a very good test on Monday. I'd have to say our drive line was very weak and let us down a number of times, and it's happened again in both cars. So it's racing. We've obviously got an issue. We need to sort it out.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And I mentioned before that this is one of the toughest tracks on the tour for driveline. Year in, year out, we see driveline related problems here: gearbox, tail shaft, differential, axles. Now, another thing, which is always a factor here, is we just had a report that the Bureau of Meteorology radar sweep suggests that it's raining in Geelong, which is to the southwest of here. This thing, a replay, shows David Bernard pinching that front left again and getting a little bit out of shape at turn 1. The reason for that is that when you have a flat spot, it'll always fall to the same place, to that very flat spot on the tyre. So he's probably grabbed the same spot. Remember earlier he said, I think I might be able to live with it. He possibly won't be able to now, so we'll keep an eye on whether or not David needs to come in, and there's attention to that front left Dunlop.
Garth Tander has lapped all the way up to 11th place, so there's only 10 cars on the lead lap, and we're not even halfway through. It's been a scorching pace at the front. This is the second place, Cat Ford of Mark Winterbottom, who has done all 78 laps so far. Jason Bright is standing by.
It's interesting, earlier, Lee, we made the remark together that the race had been relatively quiet, you know, good clean start through the first load of fuel. It didn't take long when you changed the rhythm of the race and you introduced another sequence of drivers, cold tyres, dirty tracks, all kinds of different things, for a little bit of chaos to unfold here and there. And so now this stint in the race has been much more lively, and this is the phase in the race where everybody's got to be particularly careful about what's going on around them.
Just watching the monitor quite closely is Stephen Johnson, yourself and Will Davison, well placed at the moment in position 7, and he's reporting that the car balance may have improved compared to when you were driving it.
Yeah, we seem to have just a little imbalance on that first set of tyres, and since then we've put on another set, obviously, that Will ran on yesterday, and he said the car is really good now. So sort of found that a little bit in qualifying with those last set of tyres that we used in the shootout, which we had to start on. It wasn't quite as good as qualifying. So hopefully that's helped us a little bit.
From a strategic standpoint, Steve, I think the original plan was that Will would perhaps double stint. Obviously, that would depend on weather and the like, but you haven't done enough laps. Is that the situation?
Yeah, well, we had to take advantage of that safety car that was out just before, and minimum laps for each driver is 55, and I did 51. So I fell 3 laps short, or 4 laps short, but you know, Will do his 55 or 60, and I'll jump into the end. But you know, the car's going well, and albeit the pad stop was a little bit long, you know, we're placed fairly well.
It's off to a good start. Enjoy.
Thanks, mate.
We've just lost someone off the track there, right near Craig Lowndes. Off and on again.
Lee Holdsworth, I think it might have been, car number 34, who's currently 6th. Is it?
Yes, it is. Lowndes is pushing his way through, but if you've just joined us, Craig Lowndes is a lap down.
There's a bit of oil somewhere because all the drivers are now being...
Settle down, head down and concentrate, be smooth.
All the drivers are being warned about one of the cars smoking and dropping a little bit of oil. Meantime, Lowndes, is it a lost cause? No, because the way it stands at the moment, there's a bunch of points still against his name. 16th, oh, it's the Murphy car that's smoking.
This is a shame. If it's bad, which it looks it is.
It's just all over the place. I can't control the steering.
Oh, Murphy is in 4th place at the moment.
We got a pump or something?
And
Okay, mate, I've got you. Just come in, just pull up on the marks. We're going to perform the pit stops, then have a look at it. So you're getting out. Loosen your belts, radio out.
The radio's long gone by the time that sentence finished.
They were hurt last year as well while running strong.
It was a great drive from Greg today. Remember, he reported a steering problem. Greg, can you add?
Yeah, Neil, Greg Murphy's out of the car. Cam McConville's been called at the last moment. Obviously not prepared for this incident. Murph's, you've got to remember, has started this race, so he's done an enormous amount of laps, and this car's going to be here for quite some time now. They're doing fuel and tyres, but they're looking at the power steering under the bonnet.
McConville's there already. Here he is, on cue.
There's no need to rush.
No. Well, from 24th to 4th, that was a mighty effort from Greg Murphy and the Super Cheap Auto Racing team. They're trying to work out what the problem with the steering is.
I heard them say something about a preload adjuster on the rack, so they're looking in and around that steering issue that Greg raised probably, what, 20 laps ago?
Yes.
Or thereabouts. And that's going to leave that car stationary for a while they try and get that under control. It left a little bit of oil, obviously, on the road, and different people were complaining about that. 14.8 seconds is the margin gap. I was talking about Lowndes. He's got a bunch of points next to his name, 170 of them in this current position. He's down in 15th. Remember that Murphy's going to tumble down the order. The fastest lap of the race for Lowndes, 11.9. He did that on lap 64. And that would have been Craig Lowndes at the wheel at that point. So the car's got pace, but a lap down. Got to try and recover. This man's having a good run so far. Craig Baird, 1 minute 14 even last lap for him. 4th position at the moment for the WPS Ford, car number 10. Todd Kelly just ahead, Lee Holdsworth behind.
Inside the top 10 is one of the 2 Team BOC cars, and it is John Bow, currently running 7th. Here's a zinger replay of Lowndes riding high on the curb. He is pushing as hard as he can, trying to make up for lost ground. Get back to Team BOC, and one half of car 14 would be very pleased with that performance, Mark.
Well, Bradley, you started 23rd, you're up to 7th, just sitting back relaxing and watching John Bow do his work.
I'm not that relaxed, but yeah, we're desperate need of a pace car right now. We're about 10 seconds in front of the leader, and strategy and everything's going quite well. We seem to be seesawing between Will and Steve Ellery at the moment, but you know, the red car's going like a blur. So, you know, I think we've done about as much as we can do from where we started. We just need a little bit of luck on our side now.
Everyone's starting to look at the skies, which are getting a bit darker. You're a clever man. What's your read on the weather?
Well, the car's got a roof on it, so it doesn't matter too much while I'm in here. But when I'm on the track, when it's wet and slippery, I don't like it much. We've had a look at the weather map like everyone else, and it looks like it's going to stay away, but really, who knows?
Are you going to get back out there for another stint?
I think they're going to force me back in towards the end of it. Yeah, the intention at the moment is for me to get back in. We'll just see how we're going. John's putting in some really good laps, and the car is going quite good. So be nice if we could get on the back of that group that are running 4th, 5th and 6th at the moment. So just wait and see how it all pans out.
Best of luck, Brad.
Thanks.
Well, Greg Murphy, I know things haven't been fantastic and qualifying has been difficult, but I tell you, a hell of a race and fantastic effort to get you where you were so far.
Oh, thanks, mate. You know, doesn't matter where you end up in qualifying, you still try and go as fast as you can, and it was, you know, we were making a little bit of progress, and I don't know where we were at the finish, but it was, you know, we passed a few and it was going okay, and then the steering started to feel funny and started to jolt sort of out of my hand occasionally, and then it just got worse and worse, and obviously we had a power steering problem there somewhere. I'm not sure it was a line or what, but yeah, it's pretty disappointing.
How does the car feel? I think at one stage there you were talking about push and you were trying to adjust that out of the car, and obviously this is disappointing now, but looking to back, do you think the car's got good pace?
Yeah, it hasn't got the outright pace, obviously, of the guys at the front. It tends to go away a little bit too much, but we were tuning away, and one thing that's good about it is it was actually responding a little bit to some bar change, which we haven't had all year, so you know, that's a positive thing out of that.
Bathurst likes you and you're good there, so you just look forward to that.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens.
Thanks, mate.
Trouble down here.
That's Jonathan Webb again, same corner we saw him go off on before. And a safety car. Second one for this race. On the 89th lap.
16.7 seconds was the lead between Garth Tander and Mark Winterbottom.
Repeat, what was that? Front or rear, over.
Much more rear is the answer. Or rear brake bias.
In the front, I wanted to the front more, and it just keeps fighting those rears all the time.
So second safety car for the day as the conversation goes on between the Paul Cruikshank Racing team and Jonathan Webb. Here comes the WPS Chrysler safety car to bring the field back together.
Bradley's prayers were answered. I think he said we need a safety car. He also raised the question of whether or not he has to get back in. He must, because he hasn't completed the minimum number of laps. He came in at lap number 52 for that stop. So he needs to have recorded another couple of laps there. So they'll have to put him in for the next stint.
Zinger replay. This is Lowndes on Glenn Seaton coming up the inside into turn 1. And this was for 14th place. Easily executed. However, remember that Craig is a lap down.
Former teammates.
Yes. Now this is appropriate time for Winterbottom to come in and put Jason Bright in. Has run second for the majority of this race. It's been a very solid first half of the race for Ford Performance Racing. And their number 1 combination.
So brake bias to 11.8, brake bias 11.8, co-driver light on, co-driver light on.
Bright will stay in to the checkered flag. This is the Jose Fernandez, Tony Ricciardello car in for Brightech. And waiting to be released. And you can see from that shot there in pit lane, the clouds are closing in. And it has got considerably darker over the last 15 minutes. We started in nice, bright, sunny conditions here at Sandown International. Rick Kelly, looking a little like the late Dale Earnhardt. He is ready to go. He's going to take over from his older brother, Todd, and he will run to the checkered flag for the Toll HSV dealer team. Eric Pender, his race engineer, talking to him as they plan what the second half of this race will be like. Don't go away. This one is a good one. Back at Sandown, the 500 continues. Lee Diffie, Neil Crompton, along with Darryl Beattie, Greg Rust and Mark Howard. This is 10's live and exclusive coverage, your home of motorsport, with one of the best enduros around. And it has not been a great day for car number 1, Russell Ingall, Luke Youlden. They are back in 29th position and doing it tough. After some brake problems, Youlden ran off track, they got bogged. It's been a tough day for the defending champion, the defending series champion. Meanwhile, look at this traffic jam as we go back to racing after the second caution period.
The black car touring down the well, not touring, but running down the inside at the moment is Shane Price in the number 11 Jack Daniels car. He's just making a bit of space for some front runners. Remember, he and Jack Perkins having a big run this weekend in the main game. Richard Lyons getting squeezed there a little by Craig Lowndes, who needs to just keep getting on with it and making space. Cars going every which way here. Matt Halliday in the number 5 FPR Ford. This is what happens after the field bunches up. It can be a bit silly for a couple of laps until the order sorts. Traffic jam is the scenario exiting turn 4.
Car 11 there. Shane Price, the 19-year-old. He's currently second in the Fujitsu Development Series. The son of Drew Price. You may remember Drew from his racing days. And a fabulous young guy who's got a big future in V8 supercar racing.
To the commercial break, you saw Rick Kelly in deep consultation with some of the guys here from the HSV dealer team, just thinking about what to do. The key message for you, I guess, is points in the championship, given the day that Craig Lowndes has had.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're pretty comfortable at the moment. Todd's doing a great job, and the team are making some good decisions out there. So we're just trickling along, and hopefully we get a podium finish.
Are you waiting here in terms of the weather and what's sort of transpiring? Just tell us what you're going to do.
Oh, we're not too sure. I guess if the weather rolls in, we'll have to make a quick call, and hopefully the best one for the team. But I'll get in at the next stop, I think, and truck to the end.
There they are. The NASCAR style helmet and goggles are on, and they're looking good considering their qualifying performance.
Jason Bargwanna, fantastic effort so far for yourself and Craig Baird, and the strategy must be working also.
Yeah, look, the strategy is one of those things. We've just seen the FPR guys now go with a different sort of strategy, so they're going to have one more stop. It's obviously going to be a short one, but they're a bit behind us on the track, so we'll just have to see how it goes in the next sort of, half an hour or so with the safety cars and bits and pieces. But yeah, it's going pretty good.
Happy with the car, obviously. It must be nice to be running up the front and pointy end of the field.
Well, look, it's been a long year in terms of the progress that the team's been making, and it's starting to come together. I mean, to have 2 cars in the top 10, the speed of the cars is there today. We were able to run at the front for that first stint. We'll just see if we can hold it up there for the end of the race, but it's going quite well.
I've got something here, and maybe you can show and explain it. I guess we don't see it very often, guys, but obviously between Jason Bargwanna and Craig Baird, there's a size difference, and this is a seat insert that he puts in when he does his driver change.
Yeah, look, the famous Dickie seat. Unfortunately, every co-driver I've ever had has been 4 foot taller than me, so I've always had to use one of these, but we've got the system pretty good now. We've got a way that we can do the driver changes in under 20 seconds, even with this seat, so it works pretty good. But hi Craig and hi Larko at home. Larko's crook, Craig stayed home, so hopefully we can bring a result home for everyone.
Best of luck for the rest of the day.
Thanks, guys.
And it was 10 years ago that Jason Bargwanna made his V8 supercar debut here at the Sandown 500. I think back then it was called the Tickford 500 when he was a part of the Holden Young Lions team, he and Mark Noski. Running well today. Baird, his co-driver, has moved up to 3rd. It's Tander, Todd Kelly, who incidentally needs to come in within the next 13 laps to avoid going over the 1 driver maximum lap count of 107 laps. So Kelly is guaranteed to be in within the next 13 and hand over to Rick, who incidentally, although he looked like some kind of space creature in that interview with Greg, has actually made the finals for the Clio Bachelor of the Year. So we wish you all the best, Ricko.
He's been trying to dodge that all weekend. 12.3 that lap for Garth Tander, 12.7 for Todd Kelly. 2.8 seconds is the margin already between 1st and 2nd. Craig Baird in 3rd. Will Davison at the helm of the number 17 car in 4th, and Lee Holdsworth, Jason Bright, Steve Ellery, John Bauer, David Bernard, Craig Lowndes.
Yes, Lowndes in the 10, but the fact remains he is a lap down, but he has been hustling. Lowndes is pushing that 888 Better Electrical Ford as hard as he can. There he is on screen.
Different scenarios could unfold here, which could get their lap back. If the field keeps on compressing as we see these safety car incidents happening, get into a situation where it might be possible for them to continue to march forwards.
We just got to, the next car on the road is Kelly. He's a lap up. We've just got to get there and start work. We'll keep you informed.
It's Campbell Little, his race engineer, just keeping Craig in the picture. Meanwhile, Craig knows what's required out there. Just consistent, fast, clean laps. As Neil mentioned, this is endurance racing. Anything can happen. And that being said, this is a very difficult position to come back from, being 1 lap down. However, laps are on his side. 161 the total. We're on lap 97.
Craig's got enough fuel in the car at the moment to get him to about lap 119 or thereabouts. The scenario changes frequently though when these safety cars intervene, and everybody re-scrambles all the figures on where they're at with their fuel burn and where they're at with the incoming and outgoing drivers and so forth. Oh dear. When you see cars all congested like this and a mix of speed, you just know that there can be potential for trouble. Look at this, 3 wide up the back straight. Worked out okay for Will Davison.
Didn't it, Watts? We're right around the outside. His uncle John Davison is the man who runs Sandown International Raceway and has been promoting this event for many, many years.
You know, that's for position, because Will's just jumped ahead of Craig Baird in that manoeuvre. All that congestion, all that craziness has worked out very much to his advantage.
It's a traffic jam in there. It's busy, busy, busy. And Stephen Ellery's in that group as well. There he is in car 67. Remember though, they are yet to complete their compulsory pad change in 67. Let me just double check that. Yeah, that's still the case. But starting from the back of the field, that's still a very tidy effort from those boys.
Fuel's always the limiting factor in a stop, Lee. And when you're filling up a bone dry tank or close to it, bringing 120 litres into it, 4 litres a second, it takes the best part of nearly 30 seconds to get that job done. So they'll be banking on the fact that they can get the pad change done inside that time frame, so that there's no net loss for the fact that they're doing the pad stop at that point. The only problem is, just sorry to keep going on that theme, but the longer you keep running around, generally most people get the stop done early, because the more the pads wear, the further you've got to squeeze the pistons back in order to make that change. And remember, we saw that inner pad cock on the 888 car earlier on, and when they do jam, it can be costly. And you're more likely to have a jam in that scenario when you run them longer.
When was the last time you saw Mark Scaife sit out the first 100-odd laps of a Sandown 500? Well, this is an example of it, but his co-driver Garth Tander has done an outstanding job so far. Zinger replay, what's going on here? Contact, or Bright just riding high and hard on the curbs?
He was just trying to avoid contact there.
The Cat Ford bouncing along. Bright, incidentally, is inside the top 5. And he will see this stint through all the way to the checkered flag. Tander and
driver
Tom
switch to your
will be
name
in shortly, and that is Cam McConville being released. They've addressed the power steering problem and have sent the 51 Super Cheap Commodore.
It's important to get the cars back out there, because every point can count in a championship. Even talking about Russell Ingall, Luke Youlden, they're down in 28. It's still worth 50 points. It's not going to take them too far, and Russell's championship is looking a bit ordinary, as he said earlier in the day, but you've still got to grab everyone that there can be to grab.
Paul Morris, Lee Divvy mentioned earlier in the day that you started from pit lane, so to come from last and be running, I think, 8th at the moment, fantastic effort.
Yeah, it all happened in the safety car, really. Everyone fired immediately in, and we stayed out for another lap and did a full-speed running lap, and then when the other guys come out of the pit, they were doing 40 k's behind the safety car, so we jumped about 10 places, and now it's looking pretty good.
While you're doing the interview with me now, I think they've just said he's had a spin.
You're kidding? No. Oh, well. I hope he gets going again.
This is the Zinger replay of Steve Ellery being turfed off down at 8, so someone's given him a helping hand down there. What it has done is moved that tyre bundle back. You watch how hungry they get there now. They'll look where the tyre bundle is. It's nowhere near the corner. That will mean that they position the entire left side of the car over that curbing and on the grass, and you probably pick up a couple of tenths there by virtually straight lining that corner. It'll take them all less than 90 seconds to work that out, and they'll be straight across there. Then what will happen is it'll drag grass and dirt onto the road, and it narrows up the race line, so you'll be very careful of that.
Craig Lowndes on track, chasing Luke Youlden. That's not for position. And a reminder that 5 p.m. East Coast time today on rpmlive.tv, the website, Jack's Chats continue. You'll be able to discuss many things along with today's race. Maybe not his results, though, with Paul Dumbrell, because it's been a tough day for the Jack Daniels crew. rpmlive.tv, 5 o'clock today, Jack's Chats with Paul Dumbrell. Now,
they've now decided to get this car back out. They've fueled it. They're taking it off the go jacks, and they're going to send car number 3 back out after it's been in the garage for extensive repairs. Remember, Jason Richards told us before they had a driveline issue there, so we'll try and find out precisely what they've replaced. They're doing a roll center adjustment on it as well.
Get back in anyway. Keep the focus up. There's not that many laps to go.
Possibly have changed the whole rear end there, but we'll get confirmation of that for you. Meantime, 4-second lead now for Garth Tander over Todd Kelly, and 101 laps recorded for Todd Kelly. By the time we get to 107, he's got to be out of the car because he'll have reached the maximum.
And Tander. So the top 2 in this race must pit within the next 6 laps. Scaife will take over from Tander. Rick Kelly will take over from Todd. And let's give you the rundown as we watch this thing a replay with Lowndes on Youlden, but this isn't for position. Lowndes is the first one in the order who is not on the lead lap. He's running in 9th position.
He's barrelling along though. He's making pace in this car, as you'd expect. This car trimmed ideally to the way he loves it. They've been performing beautifully, strongly all year, but they lost all that time in that odd strategy call. Now let's try to come back. Go ahead, Greg.
No, just to update you and to completely back what you've been saying in relation to the Holden Racing Team Commodore Car 2 and for the Kelly brothers at the HSV dealer team, both Rob Crawford from the Toll outfit and Robbie Starr, who's the team boss down there at HRT, tell me they're going to let their drivers run to the maximum in terms of the amount of laps they are allowed to run in this race.
Running through the order for you. Tander, Kelly, Davison, Bright, Baird, Holdsworth, Bow, Ellery, Lowndes and Wheel. That's the top 10. Darryl?
A quick update on the super cheap car of Greg Murphy. It was a problem with the power steering. There was a leak in one of the hoses. They replaced that, sent him back out with Cameron McConville now behind the wheel.
This is car 10, the WPS Ford, Craig Baird, Queensland-based driver, Queensland-based team. And Baird maintaining his position in the top 5.
The other guys that are in pretty good shape here at the moment are Bradley and JB.
And this is for position.
Yes.
Baird, Holdsworth and Bow. It's on here, 5th, 6th and 7th.
And in net terms, John's actually a little bit better off than this. Our PitSmart computer is telling us that they're in a better situation. But remember, Brad's got to get back in this car. He hasn't done the minimum requirement, so he'll finish off the stint. They're fueled through until lap 151, so that'll be a pretty short stop for them because normally fuel's the governing factor. So Bradley's going to have to be pretty quick when it comes to leaping in and buckling up and getting on with it.
Oh, Bow's growing impatient with Lee Holdsworth. In a V8 supercar, John Bow is a 2-time Sandown 500 winner, and now he's applying the pressure for 6th.
But what they will be banking on is a safety car. History shows that we'll probably get one between now and the end of the race, and that might give them the breather in terms of the fuel, but they will have to change drivers in that number 14 Team BOC car.
Even with all the rain and hiccups of last year's race, there was only one safety car intervention. This year, we've already had 2. 2 within the first 80 or so laps.
1 minute 12.7, the last lap for Garth Tander. Fastest lap of the race, Garth Tander, 11.71. So he's still within a second of his best time of the day. 13 even, 1:13.0 for Todd Kelly. 5.1 seconds now is the margin. Will Davison 3rd, Jason Bright 4th, Craig Baird 5th, Lee Holdsworth is next in 6th, then John Bow, Steve Ellery, Craig Lowndes, Paul Wheel returning to the series. That's the 10. This is Todd.
All the reminders of everything that needs to be ticked off the list when the driver enters pit lane in preparation for the driver change.
Bias, bars, radio and belts. Brake bias, put more to the rear. Rear anti-roll bar, stiffen it up to cope with the bigger fuel load. Loosen off your belts and make sure you unplug the radio, pulling out of the radio microphone jack as you come into the pit lane so that when you leap out you aren't tethered to the car, and then it turns the stop into a Keystone Cops performance.
Paul Wheel flashing the lights at Matt Halliday, just saying, come on, I'm coming through. Here we go, the Kelly car is in. The Toll HSV dealer team car. This is from second place Older brother Todd Kelly hands over to younger brother Rick.
Now there's a bit of boxing going on here between the HSV dealer team and the Holden Racing team. Just moments ago, the HRT boys put their tyres away. Mark Skate walked back in the garage. It looked as though they were going to do the stops in unison. Already Rick Kelly is in, Todd Kelly is out. The Courtney car is back in pit lane, so Glenn Seaton at the wheel there. James Courtney is on standby. The Holden Racing team are ready to go for a stop now as well. So the clock's still ticking here for the Kelly boys, and the HSV car's been released.
Boy, that looked like a nice stop.
Reset fuel. Good job.
Voice of Eric Pender, reset fuel button on the steering wheel, zeros the fuel counter, it zeros it in the car, and more importantly back at the laptop in the pit lane, in the pit bunker, so they can see the fuel burn in this segment.
Once all the fuel's in, the car will drop and away you go. You've got a clear pit lane. Make sure you're in neutral when you get out, mate. Turn the gears. Radio plug out, mate. Radio plug out.
Extra radio chat there is the HRT car, which is now in. You'll see it go past. In fact, they'll almost be in the same spot at the same time.
Tander's in, Scaife getting in now. And they go to work. So Seaton has done his stop. Courtney's just been released. Tander, excellent performance to lead this motor race through lap 105.
Yeah, we was up on the front left-hand corner. I saw it on the toll car as well. I think they're actually squirting a bit of oil in there. They've got a bottle on the back. There it is. It's like a cylinder on the back of the crew member in the front left-hand corner. So maybe they're just taking the opportunity to squirt some oil in and top it up there as well.
Get your river, mate. Get your river.
Rob Starr on the radio.
One of the better electrical cars is set to come in as well. I saw the 888 boys preparing.
Mate, just be careful. There's oil at Dandenong Road. Oil at Dandenong.
Here we go. Is this the Lounsmobile? No, it's not. It's the Alan Simonson, Richard Lyons car. It's been an eventful day for Richard Lyons. He's been off track, on track, contact. It's been a tough day for the Brit.
Hold.
It's Kevin May.
Okay, mate. Where you go? Turn lane, man.
Kevin May on the radio at 888.
Ludo Lacroix talking to Richard Lyons. So, with those two stops from the Holden Racing team and HSV dealer team, Will Davison in the First Rock Home Loans Ford inherits the lead over Jason Bright. And Lyons rejoins the circuit. Lowndes continues to pump away. He is grinding his way around this track, trying desperately to get back on the lead lap. It is a hard task, it's a hard ask, but if anyone can do it, Lowndes can. Race leader is in. Will Davison hands over to Stephen Johnson. And the famous 17 Ford.
Just see how difficult it was to get in. The hands device snagged at the top of the door. You're allowed to have an assistant. One person can be nominated in the team to help the driver with that task. He just punched him through the hole, shoved his head down and just pushed him in. It just highlights how difficult that can be. Only 8 people are allowed to work on the car, plus a driver assistant, and that's what DJR have elected to do.
Stephen Johnson back in the car. This is a zinger replay of Ryan Briscoe, who ran into troubles just as we were going to the break.
I think he made a mistake, and we'll try and add to that story, but there's a problem with the steering rack. No other damage. They went to work on the car. They've now refueled the car, retired the car, and sent it back out.
Now, while that was going on, Craig Baird brought the number 10 WPS Ford into pit lane. Great job, Craig Baird. And he hands back over to Jason Bargwanna to take it all the way to the checkered flag.
The reason they're just rotating those fronts is the discs themselves are very hot. The pads are right up to temperature. They don't want to have a hot spot form on the disc, which the disc can then run out of true, get a big hot spot on it, puts a warp in the brake disc. We're just quickly rotating them so that it just doesn't end up settling in the one spot.
A bit nervous through the sweeper.
Tony D'Alberto, hands in the air. The 20-year-old has enjoyed his second Sandown 500 and a pretty decent effort. Now, this isn't the normal 16 Garth Tander car. This is a spare car.
Flag when you exit, but it's from D'Alberto, so don't worry about it.
This is the reason why Ryan had to come in. was a contact there, which then gave the steering rack a wallop. That's the reason for all the smoke. That's why he came into the pit bunker for a precautionary check to solve whatever the issue was.
Collision there with Richard Lyons. This is the Glenford's AEG Tools Ford up at Paul Cruikshank Racing. Marcus Marshall and Jonathan Webb, the drivers today, and it's a slow stop. They've got problems on the right front. Greg, what do you have?
Been other journalists down in the Holden Racing Team garage, Lee. One of the questions they fired at you was, is it as easy as it looks?
No, mate, it never is. Your car's very, very strong. We knew we were going to have a strong car based on our qualifying speed. So it was just a matter of, you know, working on corner exits and making sure you get out. You know, 2 very long straights here, so you need to get good drive traction, and that's what we've concentrated all weekend. And yeah, car's really good.
There was a negative from that stint. It must have only been the start, but it's only a minor negative anyway. But you say, well, it's not your regular car.
No, the one thing that is different with the 2 cars is the clutch and the master cylinder. But you know, that was the first start I've done in this car, so I won't have to do another one. Scapey's going to start Bathurst if we team up, so you know, it wasn't an issue. We knew we had strong pace. It was just a matter of biding our time and we'd get through them.
Garth, a great stint from you, and strategically you must feel pretty good.
Yeah, great. I mean, we very, very strong fuel economy, so we knew that, you know, if we could have good flexibility, if there was an early safety car or a safety car either side of the window, we knew we'd be right. And you know, I was driving it to save some fuel as well, so it was all working out.
Great work.
Thanks, mate.
Mark Winterbottom, things going beautifully. Jason's in the car at the moment, and you're leading the motor race.
Yeah, we are. We've obviously got one more stop to go, but it's going to be a quick one, so it'll be interesting to see where we come out. And yeah, he's got it till the end now. I've done my job, and you know, we're looking pretty good.
Would you rather get back out in the car or just sit back here and take it easy?
Oh, I'm happy just sitting here at the moment. I did 89 to 90 laps then, so you know, I'm pretty happy just watching Bridie because he's, you know, I've got full faith in him. I reckon we'll do all right.
You're looking a bit nervous watching the screens, though.
Yeah, not too bad. I was more nervous at the start because it feels strange because I wasn't in the car yesterday. It feels like you're starting over again for the weekend, but no, not too bad. It's nothing I can do now. Bridie's got more experience than me, so we'll make it to the end.
Good luck.
Thanks, mate.
And the where he pops out answer is probably likely to be in 3rd position. The way the computer prediction looks at the moment, quite clearly Mark Scaife, Garth Tander have got this race by the throat. Rick and Todd Kelly, I reckon, are going to be next. And then Jason Bright, Mark Winterbottom. Brad Jones and John Bowe are the ones that have been pretty advantaged in the way they've played the strategy, and their car's been pretty good in terms of race pace. Seeing a replay here of Lowndes, and because when the leader pitted, Craig's actually back on the lead lap now, but they've got to come in the not too distant future. Their fuel window closes, according to our calculations, on lap 119, and we're only 4 laps away from that.
So as they've cycled through, this is how they sit at the moment. Bright leads the way from Team BOC's John Bowe, then Scaife, then Rick Kelly, then Lowndes, Stephen Johnson, Barguana, Dean Canto, Tony Longhurst and Nathan Pretty in the Super Cheap Auto Commodore Car 50. That's the top 10. Morris is in 11th. Tratt, who has just gone back into the cockpit of the HSV dealer team Commodore. Courtney on one of the Britec cars. Big sideways slap. And that was the Warren Luff car. Square on contact in turn 2. Boof.
Yeah, he would have thought he had some room down there by that point because he was well alongside. It was very tight, but he managed to get away with it. Don't think there's any damage done there.
Need to give a shout out to that car 25 too, because Warren Luff and Adam Macro have done a very good job for almost the entire race. They've been in the top 15, and that's a pretty decent effort.
You mean Ricky Bobby?
Yeah, running with the Talladega Nights livery. And that is a very funny movie starring Will Ferrell. The Autobahn car in, Tony Longhurst out, Steve Owen climbing back aboard in the top 10 at the time of pitting.
Bit of drama there. Not enough torque in the gun to actually get that nut off. Finally got the job done. Wright's got a 4.7 second lead over John Bowe. And both Bright and Bowe yet to stop. Scaife's fuel to the end now. Rick Kelly's in fourth. Craig Lowndes showing fifth on the computer at the moment. Then Stephen Johnson, Jason Bargwanna, Dean Canto, Nathan Pretty, Paul Morris. Scope just checking the rear view mirror to see what's going on behind off the exit of turn 8 down at Dandenong Road. This is the reprofiled S's 9 and 10 they've done a couple of years ago, coming back up onto the straight. Interesting to see what sort of pace Scope's showing at the moment. Really no need to push the car. 12.2 that particular lap. 12.7 for Jason Bright, 13.2 for John Bow, 12 even for Rick Kelly. So Rick's got a bit of extra pace at the moment.
Now, what are the championship implications of where people are at this point in time? Well, things are working out just nicely for Garth Tander and Rick Kelly, who sits second and third. The championship leader is Craig Lowndes. And as we have detailed, he is playing catch-up. What has gone on here? And that is Anthony Tratt.
Mate, watch for a car spun at Dandenong Road.
He's made contact there with car number 10, obviously. There must have been some sort of drama down at, and Jack Perkins is involved. So I think several cars have been involved down there at turn 8. Lowndes is going to come in this lap as a result, but I think you'll find they had to stop that car anyway. They may as well take the opportunity if there's likely to be any safety car intervention. Depends what the story is here. Can they get that car running?
Safety car is out. Larry Perkins looks on.
They can't. Barry Abermeyer in the background there can't hear.
The engine will not crank over.
There we go. Now we're hearing Jack.
It's the 20-year-old son of Larry Perkins, center of screen.
Yep, the dash is on, the land is on, the starter, the engine will not crank over. Just flick the button, just flick the start. I've done that and I cannot get the starter button is just not responding to my fingers. I'm playing with the wires at the back.
And the Zinger replay shows us a little bit of what went on there. And I think it looked like Bargwanna took evasive action. Perhaps Tratt got a little sideways.
Yeah, there was a bit of action further in front of that, though, which I think was what really precipitated it. There was more going on. And remember I made the comment earlier that they'd get a lot hungrier down there. Oh, dear.
Oh. Well, and that was Bargwanna coming back around, and Jack Perkins.
And that's a dangerous re-entry. I'm sure that'll be looked at by race control.
Tratt was right on the infield of the circuit on the grass trying to get back going. Meanwhile, Jason Bright has made the most of this caution period as well. He has dived in for his final pit stop. He's good to go to the end.
Brad's in and out. Driver change there. Remember that Brad needed to do that last stint. So Mark Scope, the race leader, has done 118 laps. Here's Craig in for his final stop.
This is Lowndes. Boy, it has been frantic work for him from the moment he stepped in this car. Under pressure, trying to regain a lost lap and positions.
Lowndes.
Can you get that debris out of the radiator, please?
Some debris at the front of the car that the boys have removed, and it looks like it's from someone else's, either rear bumper or front splitter. It was some carbon fibre and fiberglass that they've removed from the front of Lowndes' car, just waiting for the remainder of the fuel to go in here. And he is hungry. He's been hustling this car, as the boys have already mentioned. I've been down to both the Holden racing team and the HSV dealer team in between time. That canister arrangement, Neil, that you spotted, I think in the HRT pit stop, they're a little reluctant to show it to me, but they tell me it's a pressurized oil filler, just a quick top up. The boys say that it's it basically, you know, if you run a little bit low on oil, it brings the maximum amount of oil back in the engine to ensure it's safe for the run to the finish.
In last year's telecast at Bathurst, we showed you the DJR version of that. That was what I suspected it was. Thanks for that, Greg.
So, they get a chance for a minor breather, and we resume with Scaife at the top of the tree. We'll be back.
So whether it's the wheel coming off,
back at Sandown, this is a replay of the restart. but there has been something major happen. Watch this. It involves our race leader, Mark Scaife. On the restart lap, things went astray.
And he reported that it wouldn't turn left. He said we've got some sort of broken steering issue. He said it just won't turn left, but he's coasting on the back of the circuit now. And I note that he was able to manoeuvre the car from where he was. So whatever the issue is, it may just be the left turn, but it's got, yeah, he's just saying on the radio again at the moment, it won't turn left at all coming in. So this is a disaster for the race leader. That leaves Rick Kelly in control of this race. And the field's compressed. Lowndes is back on the lead lap. It's game on.
That has been a mighty effort from car 888 Craig Lowndes to just work his way back. And Scaife brings the car that has led the majority of this race into the pit box. Both cars in this team have spent time inside where they are not supposed to. The Zinger replay on board with Scaife.
So there's nothing obvious on the road. There's no contact, but the car doesn't turn left. And it was, you know, you're almost at walking pace up there at turn 4. It's so slow. It's 65 kilometres an hour. So if it wouldn't turn left, and he's just saying in my right ear at the moment, with full lock, it just won't turn left. He was actually saying a little earlier that there was something weird. There was a vibration in the steering. He was just putting everybody on notice about it, but it didn't sound that urgent at the time. But clearly, whatever it was has got worse, and they've got an issue. He's out of this race, or at the very best, he's only just going to scrape through maybe with some points at the end if they can repair it. So, what are we left with? Rick Kelly's in the car. He leads in car number 15. This was the reason for the split strategy with those guys. Jason Bright is second, Brad Jones is third, Stephen Johnson is fourth, Dean Caddo is fifth, then Craig Lowndes on the lead lap again is sixth. Jason Barguana, Nathan Pretty, Paul Morris, James Courtney. That's the top 10, and they're all fueled to the end.
Only 6 cars on the lead lap though, as the weather looks like it's closing in a little bit again. And we're getting reports of rain from some of our Network 10 cameramen out on this circuit. So with under 40 laps to go, anything can happen. And you could say, when it looked earlier like the day was done for Lowndes, it is very far from that right now. Rick Kelly, your race leader for the Toll HSV dealer team, and he is second in the championship points chase. He's being hounded by Jason Bright. This is first and second on the road. Flash your lights on and off, the instruction. Trying to get through on the Team Kiwi entry.
It's Paul Radisich at the wheel.
And Radisich is in the top 15, in 15th place, and there's some raindrops on the screen. Although it's very dirty, you can make out some raindrops.
Just down at the Holden Racing Team pit garage, Mark Scaife, as Rob Starr and the boys have been able to shed some light on what's gone wrong, why it wouldn't turn left.
Yeah, it's got a broken Ackerman plate on the bottom of the upright, and it's sheared the bolts off, so it will turn right, but it won't turn left.
You know what would have caused it to break, Mark? Is it some freakish thing? Is it the curbs, for example? What would it be?
Well, look, I don't know, Rusty. When I got in, the wheel was off centre, and when I braked the car, it would move around the brakes. That just got a little bit worse, a little bit worse, a little bit worse, and obviously got to that point.
Hard luck. Mark Scaife there, boys.
Oh, that's gutting. That is gutting.
You speak of heartbreaking, Glenn Seaton. I guess you didn't really enjoy your time in the James Courtney car during your stint. You're saying the brake pedal on your car as well, the same as Russell Ingall.
Yeah, I don't think it's as bad as Russell's because he had to come in and do a few things. But yeah, you got to keep pumping it up throughout the race to get a brake pedal every time you get to the braking areas. Yeah, around a circuit like this is probably not a great thing to have because it's such a hard braking circuit. But yeah, we're trying to push on, and we lost a lap with that safety car earlier, so it's put us in a bit of a hard spot. But it's been good. It's been good to get back out there.
How do you feel after being out of the car for so long? Obviously, you've done a little bit of testing, but is it as difficult as you thought it would be?
Yeah, you do get a bit rusty. There's no doubt about that. And but days like today just gives you a bit more confidence to be able to go to Bathurst. And naturally, being to Bathurst so many times over the years, I don't think it'll be too bad when we get there.
Got a few spots of rain coming here while we stand here as well. But to speak of that, and Jason Bright, we've heard him on the radio complaining about brakes as well. Do you think that is a Brembo issue?
I'm not really sure. I can't really answer that because Jason's had a few throughout the year as well, problems, and the Stone Brothers have also had other issues throughout the time that they've been running too. So it's a really hard one to answer. I can't answer that one.
Thanks, Clint.
Thank you.
Nothing between them at the front of this field. There's James Courtney, who is running in 10th, but not on the lead lap. He's just one down. We ride with Lowndes, who holding us all up. And Lowndes is not happy.
Hey, mate, 22,
holding us
a lot
all
of laps
up.
down. We'll work on that too.
He said the 22 car is holding us all up, and that is Ryan Briscoe, who is not on the lead lap and is in 23rd position. Comes on the outside.
That's a real bad spot to be on the outside at 6 with spots on the screen. You end up out in the grass and the mud down there. So this is the thing you've got to be careful of if you're on the radio howling. And meantime, the race goes on. The guys around you won't cut you a break, that's for sure. That was an awkward spot to be.
This is for position. This is for position. He's right on Dean Canto. And Canto not giving Lowndes anything.
He's got a good exit, Craig, so he'll try and sneak underneath him down into turn 1. He's definitely got a better corner exit, so he'll stay to the right, and then eventually he'll jump out to the left here when he gets to the braking area. He's just grabbed 6. Dean wants to try and cover, but he can't. He didn't get the same sort of corner exit. Craig underneath.
Lowndes up to 5th. This amazing run continues.
Kelly, that is Rick, has got 0.27 of a second lead, so it's very close between he and Jason Bright. Brad Jones is in there with him. In fact, Bradley's split to the first sector was faster than both Rick and Jason. Then it's Stevie Johnson, Dean Canto, mixing it there behind Craig Lowndes. What an amazing end to this race. It's been an extraordinary race, hasn't it?
34 to go. 34 laps left to run with rain getting heavier.
And in these conditions, we've seen before the tactile touch that Lowndes has got in low grip conditions, often on slicks in a slightly wet or a track that's losing its dry grip. He can be pretty handy in these circumstances. So who's going to blink first if it got really wet? Who's going to jump onto cold wets if you can manage warm slicks? And if I had to look at blokes who manage warm slicks pretty well at the moment, you say Lowndes has got a history of doing that pretty well.
This is first and second. Rick Kelly, Jason Bright. They're caught in the traffic, and Kelly's looking for an opportunity through. It's Steve Owen who's back on board the Autobahn Commodore, the yellow and green 55.
And they still haven't cleared Paul Radisich. In fact, if anything, he's got further up the road. Campbell, Little Roland Dane and Ludo Leclerc are watching very, very closely, although it's a little colder here in pit lane. Jamie Whincup, you're like a cat on a hot tin roof because you're wanting to know what's going to happen with this weather. Crucially, though, the car has good pace.
The car has excellent pace. I did the first 60 laps and the car was very well balanced. I was just trying to conserve petrol and get it to the stop. I did that successfully. We had a stuck brake pad in the stop, which put us well down into the high teens. The team have done an excellent job. They've got us back on the lead lap and racing for position. We've just passed Dean Canto for 5th, so the day did look a bit dismal, but now it's good again.
How were the emotions earlier in the day, given what you're talking about? Did you think it was game over?
Well, I could have, but it's a long day. Anything can happen in motorsport. Who would have thought the number 2 car would have broken the steering and slowed down? They've done a fantastic job all weekend, but hey, it's motorsport and we're back up there and we've still got another 40 laps to go.
Let him get back to it, he's nervous.
Thanks, Rusty.
Well, he did a superb job himself, Jamie Whincup. Led the early stages. It took a while for Garth Tander to catch him, but he did everything that was asked of him before he handed over to Craig Lowndes. So the order hasn't changed, first or second. It's still Brad Jones is 3rd. There is the weather map, and every team has that on the internet watching, keeping a very watchful eye on that. Johnson is 4th, Lowndes is 5th, Canto 6th, Barguana 7th, Pretty, Morris and Courtney. Top 10.
Southwest of where we are, southwest of Port Phillip Bay there, you can see there's quite a bit of weather coming, and that's something that everybody's watching very closely. Still a few spits of rain on the screen. On board here with Craig Lowndes down to turn 8. Now right onto the back of the Sirame Wines entry.
This is the second car from Paul Morris Motorsport. My apologies. No, it's not. It's the primary car.
Yep.
Paul Morris, Steve Ellery. And they have had a strong run today. Paul is back behind the wheel. And they are not on the lead lap, but are running in the top 10 in the Sirame Commodore in 9th position. Darryl.
Well, Todd Kelly, I just watched you walking in the garage here and you got a bit of a limp.
Yeah, a little bit sore. I wasn't planning on doing a double stint there. That was supposed to be Rick's job today, but the way the race panned out, it was me. But the car was good. Initially, it wasn't so good. I trimmed it up a bit with the bars and it came good there in the second stint, and just didn't get enough water, didn't get enough fluid, and started to cramp up with about 20 laps to go there. So, yeah, handed it over to Rick, and it's not looking too bad.
The weather's coming, or it looks like it may come. How do you play that strategy? It must be a difficult situation. Sprinkles on the screen, on slick tyres.
Yeah, it's never good. It's not our favourite situation, but I'll be here with a cappuccino in my hand by then, so Rick can worry about that.
Obviously, championship's pretty important now with the car too. Garth Tander and Mark Scaife going up with the broken steering. Things look good for Rick.
Yeah, well, it's a real shame about Scaife and Garth. Those two cars were, you know, on the pace today, and it would have been a hell of a race there at the end. We just need to make sure now that Garth's out that we can bring Rick home and make sure that one of us gets points.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks.
The significance of the battles that we're watching at the moment are with Rick Kelly leading this motor race and the points that are on offer as a result of that. More and more rain coming onto the racetrack. But if Rick stays where he is, 2,201 points in the championship. If Craig stays where he is, 2,198 points. So this is on for a championship lead changing scenario. But with this kind of weather here at the moment, you wouldn't bet on anything this far out from the end.
30 laps to go, and look at this. We saw it when Darryl was talking to Todd Kelly. The zinger replay of Morris and Lowndes slamming into the side of each other through turn one. Fortunately, nothing happened to either driver, either car, but it was tight. It was demo derby stuff. And Lowndes escaped with no damage. So they're still into it right at the end of the day. Lowndes on Stephen Johnson.
That's a move for position.
It is indeed.
Got to fourth. That was Lowndes to fourth. He's on fire. We did a little count a few moments ago, and it was 16 seconds between Lowndes and the lead of this motor race. You can see the caption at the top of how far we've got to run. Amazingly enough, despite our predictions earlier to the contrary, Craig Lowndes is in this race.
Mate, I put my hand up, I eat my words. I said earlier, day done, and under normal circumstances that would have been. But this has been a phenomenal drive. Assisted by that extra caution as well, but take nothing away from Lowndes. Scaife is back on track.
And remember, we raised the question also about that incident down at turn 8 about Jason Bargwanna and the contact that he had with Jack Perkins down at turn 8. And as far as race control is concerned, at this point they will investigate it, but after the race. They don't want to do anything in the race at this stage. They'll have a look at it afterwards and decide whether there's any issue to deal with there.
Final 25 laps, and there is nothing between first and second. There's a gap of about 10 seconds back to the third place Brad Jones, who's on screen now, and Lowndes is reeling him in. There's Lowndes.
And that's important because these guys have had a tough year. They went to Winton last week with a bunch of changes on the car. They've got Phil Curtis helping them again with engineering. He was working with the team extensively for a long period of time. He went away. He's come back. They feel as though they've made some gains with the car. They were 7th on Friday. They had a bit of a tough day yesterday where they actually lost some pace. Couldn't understand why, but they've raced very well today, and strategically they've played it very well, as they typically do in endurance races. He's third. 13 even for Brad on that lap, 12.4 for Rick Kelly, 12.5 for Jason Bright, but Lowndes is on the blast, 12.1 for Craig Lowndes. So Bradley's matching the same sort of speed as Stevie Johnson back in 5th, but Lowndes is absolutely in a category of his own at the moment.
And as we enjoy and watch this, let's hear from the man who recently stepped from car 14. He's a two-time winner in a V8 at the Sandown 500. John Bowe is with Mark.
Well, John, I guess this is why you continue to race, to be in a race like this over the closing stages.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Friday night I was happy because the car was great. Last night I was unhappy because it wasn't very good. Today it's terrific. So, you know, it's a very changing business, this. And, you know, the guys have done a terrific job. They made really good strategy calls, and the car was terrific. It's the best car I've driven for 2 years. So what more can you ask for? And it's a nail-biter, isn't it?
You've got Craig Lowndes fast approaching Brad now. I guess he's a good man to have in the hot seat, though, Brad Jones.
Well, yeah, I'm glad he's driving and not me, because obviously Craig's the championship leader, and you know he's the form player and Triple A to the form team. But you know, for our little team, the VOC guys, it's quite a good day, you know, regardless of whether Craig gets past him or not.
Fingers crossed.
Okay. Thanks.
noticed that Russell moved to the left there because he's so far down in the field at this point after his difficulties. He made it easy for Craig to remain on the race line where the maximum amount of grip is. When we were talking with John down at turn 8, Bradley arrived a little too quick, couldn't stop the car and get it turned to the apex. He ran a bit wide. He is not going to be able to fend off the performance of Craig Lowndes here, who on the last lap recorded a 12.4. Bradley was in the 13s. Lowndes is much quicker. However, I doubt whether Bradley will make it easy just the same.
When you watch a football game and you see maybe a 7 or 8 goal swing, when you watch cricket and a side's down by a long way, by a high amount of runs, and a batsman can pull them out of a hole, you're seeing the same thing here. Craig Lowndes, a phenomenal drive and a lead change here. Bright on the inside of Rick Kelly. After much persistence, it has paid off.
And Steve Owen was mixed up in all that because they've been racing him for the last few laps, so something's occurred there when we were looking at the scrap for third placing between the leaders, and that's been just the incentive that Jason Bright needed in the Cat Ford.
So can he go away from Rick Kelly? That's the question. Here's the Zinger replay. Watch the yellow and black Cat Ford. Boy, that was slick but forceful. Reminds me of the move that he put on in the final turn at Darwin. He's very good like that. He tries to catch them unawares. But that time, there was a little bit of push and shove involved.
Got up the inside. Phil Key
Keep doing what you're doing with the race.
Encouraging Jason to put his head down, concentrate, focus on the gap, manage the brake bias. Tim Edwards on the right, who's the motorsport director at FPR, and on the left of that shot is Phil Key, the engineer for the car.
The only time Bright has been on the podium at this event was in his debut year with Alan Jones. Now he is in the top spot. With just over 20 laps to go, we join Craig Lowndes in his pursuit of Brad Jones for third.
The big picture. Todd said you're using the curve to turn 1. You can trail in and over the curve and it helps.
That's the radio to Rick Kelly.
And think of the big picture there is championship talk, because they want him to concentrate on what it means in the championship. Lowndes well positioned here. Watch for the inside run at turn 1. Gotcha.
And fairly easily done.
Okay, P3.
P3, the call from Campbell Little.
12.8 for Brad on that lap, 12.5 for Craig Lowndes. Now Campbell Little fills Craig Lowndes in with the details required to look further afield.
Okay, Campbell.
Jason Bright leads from Rick Kelly. What are the margins?
This is something special. And you heard Campbell Little just say there, he's about 11 seconds away. And he is this man here, Rick Kelly, who is the next driver on Craig Lowndes' list. That's what we'll be following. A handy little margin there now between Bright and Rick Kelly. So the pressure is off a slight amount on Jason Bright in the Cat Ford.
Plus 11 seconds to P3, mate.
And that's the thing, you notice that? They're giving him a gap to P3.
They know Lowndes is coming.
They know he's coming. 12.2 that lap for Jason Bright. At 1 minute 12.5 for Rick Kelly. At 1 minute 12.3 for Craig. Let's listen. Craig's call for lap times of the others.
Mate, he's about 2 or 3 tenths slower than you. There's a few cars between you and them.
And that traffic is going to be the issue to manage here.
He needs a clean run through. But if driving a V8 supercar around Sandown isn't challenging enough, he's asking what lap times they're doing. He wants it. He wants this back-to-back victory, Craig Lowndes. The chase continues. Can Craig Lowndes catch race leader Jason Bright and second place Rick Kelly? The call just went out. 9.3 seconds the margin. First to third. Lowndes is starting to take chunks out as we join second place Rick Kelly, who is in a strong position in the championship and in this race in the Toll HSV Dealer Team Commodore. And what a race it's been. They talk about Sandown as being a suitable lead up to Bathurst. What about it being a great event in its own right?
1 minute 12.7 Jason Bright that lap. 1 minute 12.5 Rick Kelly. 1 minute 12.6 Craig Lowndes. He doesn't really have enough additional speed at the moment, Craig, to whittle down that kind of margin. 9.4 seconds is the gap between Craig and Rick Kelly. Brad Jones 1 minute 13.3. He's just a fraction slower than Steve Johnson at 12.9.
And the sun shines on Sandown again. These variable conditions. Yeah, he did miss a gear.
A bad one too, because it was the second to third, and I reckon he actually grabbed first there, and he actually got it in the gate that gave it a zing. That will have hurt. Trouble here for car number 50, Nathan Prix at the wheel. Straight lines the S's through the grass. And car number 20, Marcus Marshall, runs wide down there at turn 8 as well, and he's down at in the beach. Keeps the gas on and manages, I think, to get this car out, but would have put quite a bit of rubbish on the road down there. So want to be very careful as you come off turn 8 with that kind of gravel and sand all over the road. Now that would have hurt. Yeah, and they just actually gave, the reason I paused, they gave Craig an instruction: relax on that gear lever, drive like you're enjoying it, don't force it. They would have seen in the telemetry the big number come up there, and that'd be a monster rev. Turns 2 and 3. This is 4. It was the previous lap exiting here where he made the mistake. It's in this shift here, second to third. And see, when he just shoves it to the front, he misgated and went straight into first.
And it was costly time-wise, because the margin's grown back out to 9.6 seconds. Bright to Lowndes, first to third. These are exciting times for Jason Bright, Mark Winterbottom and Ford Performance Racing. 15 laps away from a better electrical Sandown 500 victory.
The other thing that was noticeable then, when Craig gassed it up coming off turn 8, second gear, a lot of wheel spin I could hear.
Yeah, mate, we've just requested blue flags for it, so just get your lights flashing.
Stress in,
to make it look like we're staying there.
Stress in the voice of Craig Lowndes, stressed about the traffic. And the power down on that car didn't sound terrific coming off turn 8 before. That's the other issue. When you're trying to hustle and make up these huge gaps, you've got to push hard. His last lap then was a 13.3. The 2 leaders did 12.7s apiece. There's no let up in the pace, but Scaife out in the marbles there. And that fired him across the ripple strip on the approach to 8.
Steve Owen took evasive action, stayed wide, gave him room. Here's another zinger replay. Whoa. The Ritter Skyfleet car into the back of James Courtney, but no harm done.
Yeah, 0.8 is the margin between Jason Bright and Rick Kelly, so the pressure stays on there at the moment. Here's Lowndes again, third. 10.2 seconds behind Rick Kelly. Battle scars. The driver's mirror is folded against the bodywork on Craig's cars. A few scuffs down the side of it.
Time may have beaten Craig Lowndes here.
He's just giving the boys in race control a bit of tickle up. We're doing our job, are they doing theirs? Rick Kelly 12.3 that lap. Jason Bright 12.6. Craig Lowndes 13.4. So that's a speedy bit of pace from Rick Kelly at 12.3. Margin down now to 0.59 of a second, so he's going to keep the pressure on. I don't know that Lowndes has got an answer. Probably had to use too much rear tyre to get to this point, but it is an incredible comeback. And from it, even from where he is at the moment, a big fistful of points, 300 of them showing against his name at the moment. 310 for Rick Kelly, 320 for Jason Bright. So in terms of championship, as they came into this round, 37-point margin in favour of Craig Lowndes. And so he'd hold sway over Rick.
Greg?
And I reckon that's exactly the reason why Campbell Little looks very nervous at the moment. He's been chewing his nails, almost got like a minor shake about him, because he wants to get this car in the best position possible for the championship that you've just mentioned. But also, too, you know, they wouldn't give me too much of an idea. I'm in the bunker here with them at the moment about the shape or what state those rear tyres are in, but he has certainly been aggressive with the car. One thing Roland Dane did tell me, he's popped the headsets off just a moment ago, and he said to me, don't worry about that misshift. All the data indicates that it's okay. The car's okay.
Look at this. Rick Kelly has not given up on a victory in the Sandown 500. He has closed that margin to Jason Bright. Now the big drag up the back straight.
Make brake balance forward, mate. Brake balance forward.
That's Phil Key talking to Bridie. Just shift the brake balance a little further forward. The margin's down to next to nothing. And Rick has shown great speed in the last couple of laps. He's not letting go of this one.
He has never finished outside the top 5 in this event. Rick Kelly I'm talking about. He's had a 3rd, a 4th and a 5th, but he wants the big one. All over Bright now.
And they're counselling him, be patient, mate, be patient, because they're thinking championship.
Something unique in V8 supercar racing. Brothers driving together. The boys from Mildura. This is the first time they have ever done it. And if they could bring up a win, that would create history.
Mate, good driving. Just have patience, patience.
Eric Pender, engineer for the brothers Kelly in car 15.
Updating you on some other drivers in this field. Scaife, you saw on screen, is back in 26th position. McConville, after taking over from Murphy, that's power steering problem, is down in 27th, and Russell Ingle is in 28th. Some names we expect to see up the front.
It's Rob Barrett, commercial director for Ford Performance Racing. He makes sure that they tip enough money through the roof, and the guy in the foreground, Tim Edwards, he spends it. Make sure the cars are fast enough.
51 car on the front straight, Neil. Some smoke coming from the back of the Super Cheap Auto Commodore of Greg Murphy and Cameron McConville. I've also been down to the HSV dealer team and spoken to Eric Pender, who's looking after that car of the Kelly brothers. And I said to him, do you feel like you've got better pace than that Cat Ford at the moment? And he looked at the numbers and he said to me, look, I don't know. He said, but for some reason, the FPR Falcon has come back to us. So it feels like the car's good on its tyres. Kelly brothers waiting anxiously.
Look at this thing.
He's driving on the race line too, which is a little bit naughty. I'm sure by now he'd be well aware of all the smoke. Nathan, certainly a big pile of smoke. Let's hope that there's not oil there as well.
We've got probably 10 minutes to fix it. He's done more than 5%.
Coming up to the final 10 laps. You ride with Cameron McConville in the Super Cheap Auto Commodore, and this car went from 24th to 4th before experiencing severe power steering problems, and it looks like day over and out.
The car that's smoking is Murphy, so when you catch up to him, if you do, then you'll know.
Well, Craig, man, I guess it's always difficult not spending a year in a V8 supercar, but swapping it with Porsche this weekend as well, and you're having a great result. You're running in 7th.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Obviously Jace qualified the car and did a good job, and I jumped in and he jumped in, started the race, brought it in 4th, and then we brought it back 4th. So I was almost a bit surprised, mate.
How do you feel in the car? You comfortable?
I had a few little back issues which I've changed before Bathurst, just little things in the seat and that, but no big drama. It's not the most technical circuit in the country, so just hope it strokes along to the end.
You're looking forward to it. You've obviously been out of V8s for the season, but you're looking forward to Bathurst, seeing as the car looks strong.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to Bathurst because, to be fair, I was a little bit rusty here, and it took a few laps to get into it, but you know, that's probably to be expected. I think every co-driver probably feels the same way. It's just when you hop in a car that's in the top 5, you want to do a good job, but you want to push on, but you don't want to throw it off the road. And yeah, the whole team's done a good job all weekend, really. It's been good, and I think Gory should be happy.
Well done, Beto.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah, fine effort from Craig Baird and Jason Barguana and all of the WPS team, that's for sure. Lowndes continues the chase, but time has beaten him. The gap is 9.9 seconds, and that's a little too much to reel in these closing laps of the Better Electrical Sandown 500.
But the Bright Kelly battle is a really fascinating one. The last time through it was 1.1 seconds between Jason and Rick, and they seesaw. Oh, Craig, big mistake. He's off the road. He's off the road down at 8. Meantime, here are the leaders. Lowndes has gone out into the gravel down at 8. He couldn't pull it up.
Settle down. Not that long to go.
And that cements his 3rd. He just needs to consolidate that now. He's well clear of Brad.
The voice of reason, Campbell Little, saying, come on, mate, settle it down. Well, we have had 5 different round winners from the 7 rounds thus far. We're heading for our 6th different one if Bright can hold off this very persistent challenge from Rick Kelly.
And Bright's been deserving of that, hasn't he, when you consider the pace that he's shown at different points during the year. And for one reason or another, that hasn't converted from qualifying. Oh, there's the mistake for Craig. You can see it clearly on the Zinger replay. Big lock-up. got it sideways, managed it as best he could. There was never any doubt that he was going to get back on, but it was costly. It's a lock brake just at the point of turn in as he rolled the weight in the car, came away from the apex and just ran out of road, scuffed the edge of the beach, and then away he went. And Campbell's now just asking, is the front tyre okay? And that was a short, sharp response from Craig. Fine was the answer. I don't think he's too happy inside that car right at the moment. 1.2 seconds is the margin. Jason Bright, Rick Kelly. Here's the points for the round this weekend, and I owe Nathan Pretty an apology before. For some reason had a brain fade. That car was car number 51. It was Cam McConville that had the smoke coming out.
Gap now out to 1.2 seconds, Bright over Kelly. So there's a little more comfort there. There's a little more room to breathe coming into these closing handful of laps here at Sandown. It's gone fast, hasn't it? What a day. We've had a little bit of everything. And a car that looked like being a runaway winner in Mark Scaife and Garth Tander. There it is in the background, actually, coming to grief. The restart after our third caution period with a steering problem.
Lowndes still talking, very animated and angry about the back markers and how much that's cost him, but they've given him margins now. He's 13 seconds, nearly 14 seconds behind Rick Kelly, and he's 4 odd seconds up the road from Brad Jones. So, and there's Brad, 4th place. Gee, that'll be a welcome relief for him. This will be the best result of the year, and the result at just the right time.
Talking to team principal Kim Jones, and he was saying a lot of people will jump on the bandwagon and say we're only good in enduros, but that's not the case. We've had a change of personnel in the team. You mentioned before engineer Phil Curtis returning, but they've also had a couple of people leave, and that changes the harmony within the team and the morale. And he said the guys have turned full circle and are working so flat out with so much passion. This is like a completely new team. So thumbs up to Team BOC. Mark?
Will Davison, we've grabbed you away from the telly. You're crossing your legs, you're uncrossing your legs. Stevie's in 5th. How are you going?
Yeah, listen, we've had a very good day, to be honest. I had a fantastic stint in the middle. We got the car up to 3rd. Listen, everyone's worked very, very well all day. The car's extremely strong. Strategy's gone well. We lost out a little bit with that last safety car. Unfortunately, a couple of the cars behind us were able to pit under the safety car. That was Bright and the BOC car. So we've lost 2 spots from 3rd to 5th, but Stevie's pushing on out there. He's closing in on Brad, but fingers crossed, mate. I don't know if we've got enough laps left.
It's a business end of the season, though, and it bodes well for Mount Panorama and Bathurst coming up.
It does. Listen, the team's really working well together. Stevie and I have formed a great combination, and it's the right time of the year to be coming good. It's going to be an extremely good haul of points here today, but to be honest, we're setting our standards pretty high. I was really, really pushing for the podium. It's not over yet, but it's not looking so likely.
We'll let you to go back to chewing your fingernails, Will.
Yeah, good on you guys. Thank you. Thanks.
And Will's older brother, Alex, is currently running in 13th place in the other DJR Falcon. He's done a nice job today. Just narrowly missed out on the top 10 shootout yesterday. So good work from the Davison brothers.
Bad sportsmanship flag for Russell Ingall for touching those cones at the end of the back straight at turn 6. Not that he's overly concerned about that, I'm sure, at the moment. But he's down in 28th position. You would not have thought that that'd be the case for those guys. Mark Scaife, if you're an HRT fan, in 26th. So big names, Scaife and Ingall, 26 and 28 for Ford and Holden respectively. And that's an amazing situation for those guys. Bradley's holding on here. Good pace. This car has found a lot in the last couple of weeks.
Back
and
at the front.
Scuff for the lead, and you know, it keeps on seesawing. It's a great battle between these two guys, and it's outstanding performance from both of them.
It's probably been going on for the best part of 20 or more laps, and Bright just chipped away at the back of Rick Kelly, pulled off that very daring move, well, almost daring around the top part of the circuit, and then finally crunched the deal. There is older brother Todd, and no doubt mum and dad John and Margaret Kelly would be there. It's Todd's wife looking on. We should say happy Father's Day to Todd too. He's got a little one.
Mason.
I've actually just walked back out of that garage, the toll garage, and have had a word to Todd Kelly. He tells me that they made a change in the last pit stop to that car. They made a rear roll center adjustment to it. They're looking for better entry to mid-corner grip from the car, and I wonder whether Rick's maybe just cooled off, settled down for a little bit to have a crack here towards the end of the race, but they have made it painfully clear that he is thinking about the championship. The big picture is what Rick Kelly is focused on.
And rightfully so. particularly at this point in the championship. Remember that after Bathurst, they've also got to drop around, so that scrambles the points a little as well. Coming off turn 8, just very carefully feeding the power in for Rick.
Well, this is all very serious stuff right now. The two Kelly brothers have a fabulous sense of humour. They're good mates with Nathan Prix, and the three boys are going to make the trek to Mount Panorama Bathurst in a 1975 combi van. Yeah. They've painted it with white wall tyres, and they plan on wearing their open face helmets in the car on the way up there.
If it makes it. I was with them in the workshop the other day when they were negotiating the purchase of the said motorhome, Flower Power motorhome.
Just a reminder, coming up a little later this afternoon in just over an hour and a half's time. Rather, I should say less than an hour's time, in just over half an hour's time, 5 p.m. As soon as we come off air on rpmlive.tv, Jack's Chats, you can chat with Paul Dumbrell.
This is still very, very close. That's striking distance, and he's getting the benefit of the draft being created by Jason's car there.
Closing few laps here at Sandown.
Two great drivers, two great teams. Pressure driving. Mark Scaife, the watching brief, but he's out of this motor race.
Look at this, look at this. Rick is right up on Jason Bright now. Closing few laps. You can't ask for it to be any closer than this. He's on the wrong side for that turn, but he is pressuring Jason Bright into making a mistake.
He'll try the crisscross here. He was much better then. He actually got out of the throttle, weaved from one side to another, and then came up the other side. So he's got pace. He can actually get this back, and he's going to run down the gutter. Bright, he's going to run him right of the way to the left. So he crosses over. Well, now is not the time to tell a driver about a brake balance thing. So they give a message to Jason Bright to shift the brake balance while he was almost in the braking area.
And Rick Kelly is doing a beautiful job of pressuring him into turn 2. This 3-4 complex. Often drivers can make an error here. Kelly will be looking for a good drive onto the back straight. Watch the drag race. He'll tuck in behind Bright, get the draft and try and make a move.
Can't believe that Phil spoke to Jason at the point where he's about to put his foot on the brake pedal down there.
It has been much talked about, the straight line speed of the Toll HSV dealer team Commodore. But the Cat Ford's not bad either. Mark Winterbottom, Rod Barrett look on at FPR. The pressure is on. They're looking down the barrel of their first round win in 2006. Winterbottom's first round win ever. But Kelly wants to steal it away.
Jason was able to be in a better position into turn 9 that time. A little bit too much wheel spin for Rick coming off 10. Christy Kelly in the background behind husband Todd there. What a tense situation.
Last couple of laps.
Jason Bright skating in on the rear brakes then into turn 1. He's got that car maxed out. These two guys absolutely going punch for punch. If either of them makes a blue, Craig Lowndes 16 seconds behind, but there to grab a crumb if there is one.
This race has been going on for 3 hours, 20 minutes. And you've got two cars separated by nothing. Kelly swerves out of the draft just to try and be an annoyance to Bright, break his concentration, maybe put himself in a position to make a move. Inside of turn 8, flicks to the outside.
And whenever Jason has to go that defensive, that slows his mid-corner speed, but it does make it hard for Rick to sight where he needs to be. The problem at the moment is where to do it. He could do it if he was in just the right spot here, but it's awkward through 9. But if he could stay on the outside, he'd be up there for 10. Can't do it now. Fantastic motor racing between these guys.
Onto the front straight. We're running out of time. We're running out of laps.
1 to go. 3.1 kilometres. 10 turns. Bright is the leader. Kelly in hot pursuit. Has he got anything for him? The two of them are absolutely at 100%.
Couldn't ask for this to be any better. Kelly lost a little bit of ground there. Ford is heading for its 3rd consecutive Better Electrical Sandown 500 win. The boys crossing their fingers. Winterbottom has done all his work early in the day. He did 90 laps. So too Kelly. Kelly did almost the full complement allowed for one driver. He almost did 107. And then handed over to his younger brother. Can Rick Kelly do it, or will Bright hang on for his first Sandown 500 win? It'll be a first for either driver.
Rick was just a little wide down there, that time off the top of the hill. Jason runs defensive.
Pressure, pressure, pressure. Closing 2 corners. Kelly goes the other side this time, but that catboard is wide. Great driving from both men.
He's going to try and crisscross. He might sneak up the inside. It'll be absolutely nose to tail at the control line. What a fantastic race.
Better Electrical Sandown 500 goes to Ford Performance Racing.
Great racing.
Jason Bright, Mark Winterbottom wins Sandown. Super stuff, and that is Winterbottom's first ever V8 round victory. How about that? And the emotion inside FPR. They've had pole positions. Todd Kelly knew it just slipped away, but his brother did everything he could. That was pressure motor racing.
Both those teams, all of those drivers should be very proud of their achievements today. That was fantastic.
And take nothing away from Craig Lowndes. That was a monster effort from Craig Lowndes.
Do an observation lap. Parade lap.
That was one of the big talking points in the off-season. The acquisition of the services of Mark Winterbottom from Orcon Motorsport to Ford Performance Racing. He is now a race and round winner.
The official margin at the end there was 0.15 between Jason Bright and Rick Kelly. What an outstanding race.
Let's hear from one of the Kellys.
Well, Todd Kelly, I was in the garage, and my heart rate's up right now. What a fantastic race at the end.
Yeah, bummer, eh? We played a little bit conservative there for the whole race, and I knew Rick would have a crack if we had the car at the end there, and a little bit more speed would have been good, but that's Rick's championship he's got to think about, and he did the right thing. I mean, it could have got dirty there at the end and we could have had a crack at it, but he did the right thing and brought the points home, and that's the main thing we need to think about.
Great weekend together. First time for the two brothers together. You've got to be excited going into the big race of the year at Bathurst, and you gave him a little message there. Well done, Buffhead.
Yeah, no, we should have a quiet VB tonight for Father's Day as well, so it hasn't been a bad day.
Congratulations, Todd.
Thanks.
Well, Mark Winterbottom, there's high fives, there's hugs, there's kisses. You have won. How are you feeling?
Oh, mate, that is sensational. It shows the passion of the guys. We've worked bloody hard, and to win this race is a fantastic achievement. And I think there'll be beers on the bar tonight because it's a really good result for the guys. We're just pumped.
What about those last 5 laps? You're pulling your hair out, you're crossing your legs, you're uncrossing them again.
I was sweating, but I was really cold, so I don't know what was going on. But just awesome, I thought he had it, but you never know, and it's bloody nerve-wracking, and I'm just glad it's over.
Congratulations, enjoy the celebrations, Mark.
Thanks, mate.
What a year for that young man. Hasn't it all gone in the right direction as we check the VB scoreboard? The results of the Better Electrical Sandown 500. Winterbottom and Bright, the victors. And then Rick and Todd Kelly, Lowndes and Whincup, and Stephen Johnson got Brad Jones right in the dying moments to steal 4th place away. How about that? And Dean Canto, Lee Holdsworth with a top result there as well. Jason Bargwana and Craig Baird, Morris and Ellery, Courtney and Seaton, and Pretty and Wheel all in the top 10. As we roll through this entire 31 car field, we now get back into trouble zone. Guys who experienced a tough day, either it be crash, mechanical, whatever the case may be. Boy, there are so many stories to tell after this one. And here are the championship points at the conclusion of round 8. Look at that. There's not much between them, is it? 27 points between Lowndes and Rick Kelly. So Lowndes lost 10. But here's the little catch. As Mark Winterbottom moves up into the top 3 at Garth Tander's expense, after the next round at Bathurst, every driver must drop their worst round, but Bathurst still counts before they drop that. So the points are going to get interesting. And Whincup gained 2 positions there from 7th up to 5th. Paul Dumbrell drops out of the top 10, and Todd Kelly was a big winner there. So too Will Davison. Pretty amazing stuff.